Good evening, excuse me, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And it's a fine day at Hornet Field as the Fullerton College Hornets host the Golden West Rustlers in this second game this week of the four-game tilt. I am Corey Nayland, and you are listening to, or watching, excuse me, Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. And it's a wonderful thing today as it is in conjunction with 90.1 KBPK. I am joined by on the ones and twos, on the twos and threes with Joe Pavlenko, Ryan Osborne, Mark Pavlovich going on somewhere around there at Hornet Field, ready to bring you this action. And the Hornets come in at 3-10. They lost the first game to Golden West, who is 2-11, got their second win of the season on Tuesday. And in that game, it was 21 to 5, excuse me. Golden West with the win. And Golden West put up 11 big runs in the second inning, and that was it for the Hornets. Again, they dropped to 3-10, and Golden West to 2-11. Head coach for Golden West, as we get into the defensive lineups for the Hornets, who will be in the field first, Justin Schubert, who was on the mound for the Hornets to start this ball game. He comes into this game 0-1, 16 innings pitched with a 7.16 earned run average. His battery mate is Jacob Sharp at first base, Sawyer Chesley, Ryan Lemastre at second, David Barrios at short, Jacob McClure at third base. In the outfield, left to right, Dominic Martinez, Elias Rios, and Matt Darr. As you see there, Fullerton is 3-10, 1-9 in Orange Empire Conference play. In that batting order for the Golden West Rustlers, to lead off, it will be Sebastian Orduno, who's in center field. Logan Galena is catching. Cole Andovolgi, playing left field. And Julian Boyd in right field batting fourth for the Rustlers. Stephen Costas at shortstop batting fifth. Jackson Lappiner is the DH for the Rustlers. Gunnar McGran is in third base. Christian Lamar at first, batting eighth, and batting ninth will be the second baseman, Miles Jenkins. And that is the lineup as Orduno steps in, the lefty, getting ready to face off against Schubert. Schubert, only 6 walks this season, the right-handed pitcher, 19 strikeouts, first pitch delivered into left field, And that is going to be the first out in left center field, caught by Dominic Martinez. And that'll bring up Logan Galena. Logan on the season's batting .324, 3 home runs, 9 RBI, .477 on-base percentage. Another lefty for Schubert. Takes that pitch on the inside corner for a strike. Galena stands 6'3", 190 pounds, is a sophomore out of Dana Point High School. Takes that one there for a strike, 2. Nice pitch by Schubert. Good velocity to start off this ball game. Looks like a packed crowd there at Hornet Field. There might be more in the press box than in the stands or outside for a ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Just started here in the top of the first inning from Hornet Field. Off-speed pitch, misses the inside and low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. In game number 1, Galena, no RBIs, but he did get 2 hits in 5 at-bats. Left 4 on base and struck out once. Goes down deep, drills in the right field. And that is going to be caught by Matt Darr. Gets the start today in right field for the Hornets. 2 away, both flyouts. And that'll bring up Cole Andovolgi. Andovolgi will come up. Actually, it's going to be a foul ball. Excuse me, not an out. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Logan Galena will be at the plate for the 2-2 pitch. 340 down the right field line was where he hit it, and he bounces one back to Schubert. Schubert raises high up and tosses over to Sawyer Chesley for the second out of the inning. Now that is the second out of the inning. Good play by Schubert. 1-3 if you're scoring at home. And now to bring up Cole Andavolgi. So 340 down the right field line for the right-handed batter Andavolgi. 373 in right center, the power alley at Hornet Field. Straight away is 405. Schubert delivers down the pipe. 0-1. 365 in the left center gap and 334 down the left field line. Andavolgi batting .200 this season. 1 ball, 1 strike. On Tuesday, had 2 RBI and walked. Had 1 hit at 3 at-bats. Scored twice as well. Andavolgi is hot of late. He takes that in the dirt. So Andavolgi, I believe it was last Thursday, and that was against Orange Coast College, had 8 RBI in 1 game. In that game on Thursday, brings his total up to 12 RBI on the season. That's out in the outside corner for a strike. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs here. Top of the first inning. Hornet baseball on sportsnetusa.net. Looks like a beautiful day there at Hornet Field. This is dribbled to the left side. McClure up with it. Over to Chesley for the 3rd out. No, it gets away. And that's going to get the Vance to run it at second base as it goes to out of play. And there's another error by the Hornets. And that's one thing that's plagued them all season long is the errors. I don't know the last time they went through a game without an error. So that's the first of the game today. This will bring up the cleanup batter, Julian Boyd. And we're going to go E5 on the error. And you look at the team comparisons, the errors, 19 for the Rustlers, 29 for the Hornets. So they get at least 2 a game for the Hornets. And Julian Boyd, the lefty, takes first pitch low, 1-0. Julian batting .350, 1 home run and 9 RBI. So 2 outs in the top of the first inning. As you see Andavolgi at second base, right in front of Barrios, the shortstop. 1-0 pitch is high and outside, 2 balls and no strikes. The 30th error on the season for the Hornets. They've played 13 games, and that's not a good fielding percentage. About 920 is fielding percentage, and that's just not going to cut it. So 1 out. That looked good, but is no good. 3 balls and no strikes. Julian Boyd with 2 outs. Should be taking here as a runner on second and Andavolgi. Got to second on an errant throw by Jacob McClure at third base. Boyd, 5'11", sophomore out of St. John Bosco. And that's ball 4 in 4 straight pitches. So runners on first and second. With 2 outs, Stephen Casas, the shortstop, steps up to the plate, the right-handed batter, as Golden West scored 1 run in the first inning, 11 in the second, 3 in the third, 4 in the sixth, 2 in the eighth on Tuesday. 18 big hits, 2 crucial errors by the Hornets. Tried to go off speed. Stays high, 1-0. 5 straight balls delivered by Schubert. As his battery mate Jacob Sharp comes out, said, you just need one. Get one, let's get out of the inning and get some runs on the board on our side. But alas, it's 2 outs, 2 on. Casas, 244, 326 on base percentage. He's got 7 RBI, has a chance for number 8 today. Struck out 13 times and only 4 walks. Schubert wants to go after a guy that has a high strikeout count. Goes at him. 1-1. And that's a nice pitch by Schubert. You got a guy who at the plate who strikes out more times than he walks. He's got 10 hits. Scored 9 times as Casas. Shortstop. Nice eye. 2 balls and 1 strike. And that's one of those pitches, and I'm sure Ryan and Joe and Mark can tell you, that you want to go after. Schubert doesn't want to be hesitant on the mound today, wants to be aggressive. He wants to be a guy out there to get the Hornets out of their slump. And Novolji at second base. There's one, swings through, 2 balls and 2 strikes. And that's a good pitch, a little bit off the plate. Close enough that he comes up and takes a whack at it as Casas. Two-two pitch, that's a little bit outside. He was trying to hit that low quadrant on the outside part of the plate. 3 balls and 2 strikes. So with the full count, you got to go after him. You got to just be better than the other player. As we sit at Hornet Field, the wind is blowing from right to left. Looks back the runner. And there you can see a good shot of the infield. Full count, 2 outs, 2 on, top of the first inning. No score here. Just started this OAC tilt. And there's one's bounce up the middle. Barrios has it, stepped on second. No, this throws over to first for the out. And the Hornets get out of the inning. No runs, no hits, 1 error, 2 left on base. And at the end of half an inning, no score. And let's see what the Hornets can do with the bottom half of the first. And as we look at the outfield for the Golden West Rustlers, and we're going to take a look at the lineups, for the Hornets. Dominic Martinez starts it off in left field. Elias Rios in center, batting second. Matt Dard, the 3-hole. Jacob Sharp, the cleanup hitter. And the other Jacob, McClure, is batting number 5 at third base. In the 6th spot is the DH, Julian Tellez. Sawyer Chesley at first base, batting 7th. David Barrios at short, who made that last play to Chesley. And Ryan Lemastro, the fixture at second base for the Hornets. He's batting 9th. And on the bump for the Rustlers, Ricky Tiedemann. Big guy out there. Ricky has a lot of talent, standing 6'4", 220 pounds. He's a freshman out of Lakewood High School. Got a good arm, got a live arm, can throw up to 90. We believe we were told mid-90s. By the big lefty. Logan Galena is his battery mate. Christian Lamar at first base. Miles Jenkins at second. Gunnar McGran at third. Stephen Casas at short. Cole Andavolgi in left field. Sebastian Orduno in center. And Julian Boyd in right field. That's the defensive setup for the Rustlers. So the 6'4" pitcher, 0-1 on the season. This is his 4th appearance. 11.1 innings pitched this season. Looking to get the Rustlers their third win of the season, their second in a row against the Hornets. 7.15 earned run average for Tiedemann. He's got 18 Ks, 8 walks. Giving up 9 earned runs. And his strikeout to 9 innings ratio is 14.29. So let's see what Dominic has in store for them. Martinez takes the first pitch for a strike. So we'll see as Tiedemann. The 0-1 pitch is on the outside part of the plate to 0-2. So Tiedemann and has an entourage out there, as there are no spectators at Hornet Field for the game. But we don't know if that does apply to scouts or not. 0-2 pitch on the way. Off-speed pitch gets him swinging. And that's the first out, bringing up Elias Rios. So 2 fastballs to get the first 2 strikes and an off-speed pitch on the outside part of the plate. That's just pretty. That ain't fair. So we don't have those speed guns, but we've been told 93-mile-an-hour fastball by the big lefty, and this one is bounced to second. Over is Jenkins, corrals it to first base Lamar, and that's the second out of the inning. So this is the way Schubert started his first inning in the top half. And let's see if the Hornets can get a couple runners on base with 2 outs here on their bottom half of the first inning. Matt Darr. Only batting .343. Takes that strike inside part of the plate. Good average for Matt. .467 on base percentage. 2 home runs and 9 RBI. He's got a decent eye at the plate. 8 strikeouts to 7 walks. Bounces one again into center field for a base hit. So Matt Darr gets it going for the Hornets. Their first hit of the game. The first hit of the game for either squad. That'll bring up Jacob Sharp. Sharp in his 11th game that he's played this season. .313 with 2 home runs and 4 RBI. Darr at first base has 2 stolen bases. And let's see, with 2 outs, want to see the Hornets get aggressive here. It doesn't matter if you get thrown out at second base caught stealing. We want to see the Hornets get up and down and around those base paths. And this one's back to the backstop, and Darr is going to advance to second base, so a runner in scoring position for Sharp. So now with a runner in scoring position, you can be a little bit more aggressive. Get a big lead off. Anything up the middle, gets through the holes, that's going to score a run for the Hornets. Sharp looking to pick up his 5th RBI of the season. That's inside 2-0. So Tiedemann with a 93 miles per hour fastball brings that back with a 73 miles per hour breaking ball. So he's going to have to get ahead of the count in good pitch situations to throw that breaking ball. That's outside, swinging. 2 balls, 2 strikes. As you can see, the field playing straight away for Jacob Sharp. Casas keeping Darr close at second. And this one's lined into center field. It's got a chance as the runner is going, and that is the 3rd out, caught by Sebastian Orduno. So it's going to be no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. So at the end of 1 full inning of play, Rustlers 0, Hornets 0. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. Corey Nayland alongside a whole bunch of people at Fullerton College Field. or excuse me, Hornet Field on the campus of Fullerton College. We'll get those umpires' names in just one moment for you. Schubert back on the bump for the Hornets. 54 players on the roster for the Hornets this season. And it's one of those seasons that it feels weird as you're broadcasting some games from home, some games from the field, and no crowd in attendance. It's got to be a weird feeling out there. Ryan Osborne, Mark Pavlovich, Joe Pavlenko, and I forgot who else is out there, going to be out there tomorrow for Fullerton College softball, as the Hornets take on Golden West, and they host them for the doubleheader in the last of that four-game series, I should say. Softball is led by D. Ramirez, front runner for OEC Player of the Year. Fullerton won both games yesterday in 5 innings, 11-0 and 11-0. So that was in 5 innings. That's a run rule game. Somebody here at SportsNetUSA.net is a proponent of the run rule in baseball and softball. Kind of only because somebody wants to get home earlier than the others. As Fullerton College on Tuesday lost 21-5, and a run rule could have been had there, but it doesn't really matter because I wasn't there, so let them play ball in that 4 hours. Umpires is going to be Jeff Staudinger behind the plate, Sean Miltimore in the field. And for the Rustlers, Jacob Lappiner will lead off the DH, followed by Gunnar McGran and Christian Lamar. Lappiner takes that one high, ball 1-0 in the top of the second inning and no score. Fullerton leads this all-time series 74 wins to 64 wins, but the Rustlers have the last 4 games. Swung through and missed 1-1. Justin Schubert. Earned run average 7.16. Nice pitch. Don't know if that was a slider or a split finger, but that was wicked. 1 ball and 2 strikes. He's allowed 2 home runs on the season. But again, he's got good control with only 6 walks to 19 Ks. This one's fouled back. 1-2 stays the count. And when you look at Schubert, not a small guy out there on the mound. 6'2", 195 out of Redlands High School. As you see his stats there. There's strikeout number 20. Got him looking. So that's 1 out and bring up Gunnar McGran. That's 20 strikeouts now to 6 walks. And that earned run average, you're going to see if they can drop that just a little bit and have a strong outing. McGran, the freshman. His 10th game, 6 RBI. Tries to lay one down and fouls it off down the third base line. Batting .375 in his 16 at-bats, 6 hits, 2 doubles. Struck out 6, walked 3. So if he gets on base, he's got 1 stolen base with 1 out. And you look up and down both these rosters, low and outside, 1-1. And you look at the stats for both teams, it's common that more Ks than walks so almost every batter for Golden West. 2 balls and 1 strike. So against Schubert, who has good control, you want to be a little bit more patient. As the count is now 2-1. Top of the second inning, we've got 9 innings to go, or 9 innings to play today, and that's up high, 3-1. So a 9-inning game. They'll finish out the 4-game series tomorrow with a doubleheader. First game at noon. And then that'll be a 7-inning affair. And the second game will be a full 9 innings. And that's ball 4. So McGrann did what he needed to do, is be patient against Schubert. Gets on base with a walk, and Christian Lamar will step up to the plate. Sophomore first baseman batting .320 with 5 RBI. And you ask what he did on Tuesday. He had a hit. Throw over to first base back in time. McGrann, standing at first base, had a double on Tuesday. Did not try to swipe a bag, and there's another throw over to first. Hornets think he's looking and tempted to go now. In the top of the second inning, this was the inning that the Rustlers liked on Tuesday, and Fullerton really, basically wanted to go home after, as the Rustlers scored 11 runs that inning, and there's one pulled to left field out of play. No balls and 1 strike. Top of the second inning with 1 out. Decent speed on first. And a good job of Lamar for waiting on that last pitch, and there is another throw over to first base. That's a 3rd throw over. Really keeping an eye on McGrann. If you're one of those coaches, you're looking at maybe a run and hit situation. And now blown by Lamar. No balls and 2 strikes. Good pitch by Schubert. And sometime during this inning, we'll give you a bio of the head coach for Golden West, Drew Ramos. When Fullerton comes up, we'll tell you a little bit about their head coach, Chad Baum, on a little bit of bio. We try to put that up on the screen for you. No balls, 2 strikes, 4th throw over. Back in time. So at short for the Hornets, David Barrios gets the start. Another throw over. Jimmy Bloomberg, you've seen get the start for the Hornets at short of those games we've watched on SportsNetUSA.net. And almost a wild pitch. Good save by Sharp. 1 ball and 2 strikes. So Drew Ramos. And there's another throw over. And this is where you'd like to ask, is it going to be a detriment for throwing the ball over there? That's the 6th attempt, or 6th throw over to first base to keep McGrann close on a 1-2 account with the 1 out. Let's hope it doesn't take that concentration away from Schubert. Drew Ramos, the head coach for Golden West. And there's one lined into right field. And that's going to drop for a base hit. And McGrann rounding second over to third into second base for a stand-up double. And here comes McGrann around the third and the throw to home. And he is safe as the ball trickles away on an RBI double by Christian Lamar. Nice hit in the right center field. Hit that power alley, and if it gets to the ivy, that's trouble, and it was. So an RBI double for Christian Lamar. So you saw the play at home. The throw was there. Tag was there. It might have been safe either way, but bang, bang play. The ball came out anyway. 1-0. Rustlers over the Hornets. Top of the second inning. Let's hope this is not a repeat of Tuesday. Low in the dirt. As Lamar at second base brings up Miles Jenkins, the second baseman. Jenkins, the freshman, 188. 2 RBI on the season. He's only had 16 at-bats. Freshman out of J. Sarah High School in Gardena. 2 balls and no strikes. Rashawn Haylock knows Gardena Sarah very, very well. Football powerhouse on the high school level. And they're going to say an E2 on the play at the plate. And there's one gets away, and that's going to be a pass ball. So a runner on third with 1 out, 1-0, Rustlers with the lead. We'll see what the official scorebook says. So official scorebook, no error on the catcher. That run does count as an earned run given up by Schubert. 3 balls and no strikes, runner at third base. 1 out. And that's in there for a strike. So again, the second inning catching Fullerton up. Or catching them off, I should say. 3-1 the count. 3-2 the count. Taking all the way is Jenkins. With 1 out here. A runner at third base and a 188 batter at the plate. Boy, do we miss the days of laying one down, and that one's bounced back up the middle. Barrios giving chase, can't come up with it, and that's a single for Jenkins, and that's an RBI single for Jenkins, and that is 2-0 Rustlers. So 2 runs across thus far in the second inning. Bring up the top of the order with Sebastian Orduno. Flew out to left field at his first at-bat in the first inning. So far, the first batter, Jackson Lappiner, with a strikeout looking. Gunnar McGran walked, driven in by Christian Lamar on an RBI double. Lamar comes in from third base after he was wild pitched over to third. Single up the middle to Jenkins. It's now 2-0 in the top of the second inning. 1-0 to Orduno. Schubert and 1.5, or excuse me, 1 1/3 thus far. 1 strikeout, 2 walks, 2 balls here to Orduno. Two runs, 2 hits thus far in this inning, in the second. This one's lifted high in the right side. Giving chase is Dar. Going back is Lamastra. And it drops in. And there's an out at second. So it dropped in the right field. But again, because it was a high pop fly, Jenkins was stuck in no man's land. And by the time the ball dropped, it's too late. So the force out at second base leaves Orduno at first. So Logan Galeno steps up, bounced back to Schubert in the first inning. And a throw over to first base for Orduno. He's back in time. 2 outs here in the top of the second inning. 2-0, and the Rustlers have the lead. Matt Dar in right field. Got the assist. Ryan Lamastra at second base. Sawyer Chesley on the right side at first. In the dirt, 1 ball and 1 strike. Or excuse me, 1 ball and no strikes. So again, the 1 error is at first base, or the first inning, I should say, on Jacob McClure. with that throw over to Sawyer Chesley. No harm done in the first inning, but 2 runs here in the second by the Rustlers. Low and outside, 2-0. Another throw over, back in time. 2 balls, no strikes. Galena had a strikeout in the game on Tuesday. He also had 1 hit. The lefty takes one to right side at foul ball. So there's 2 balls and 1 strike to Galena. Schubert trying to work out of this inning. His head coach, Drew Ramos, is only the 3rd coach in the program history for Golden West College. 22 years, Fred Hoover, the first coach of Golden West, was at the helm. Bert Villarreal, the 2nd coach, spent 32 years as the skipper for Golden West. There goes the runner, and he is safe. So Arduino gets the stolen base. He's at second in scoring position with 2 outs, 2 balls, and 1 strike. So Drew Ramos, the 3rd head coach in program history. That's nice. That's consistency. One of the better programs in Orange Empire Conference in Southern California. Therefore, one of the better programs in the state of California and around the nation for baseball. Galena looking at a 3-1 pitch, swings right through. Throw it down to second base. They got him if it's a good throw. No. Dangerous throw as runners at second base probably didn't need it, as it's 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs. So that bloop into right field, we both, me and Mr. Pavlovich thought it could have been an error and could have been caught, maybe should have been caught by the right fielder, Matt Darr. But nonetheless, it has scored a hit, not a fielder's choice or a forced play. So 3 balls, 2 strikes. That was the hit given. That's foul back. So that was a single given to Arduino. Runner at second is Arduino, who's got a stolen base. 2 runs across on 2 hits. Or 2 runs across on 3 hits. Thank you for that scorekeeping update, guys. Ryan, Joe, and Mark out there. Off-speed pitch, check swing over to McClure, over to first base. He can't come up with it, however, and we're going to call that an infield hit. Not an error, Mr. Pavlovich, for Galena. So that's a 4th hit of the inning. Runner advances to third is Arduino. And again, the Hornets can't get out of an inning, and that's been crucial all season long. So that check swing works kind of like a bunt single. And actually, Arduino stays at second. I thought he was going to be at third base. You guys are going to have to ask Coach Ramos if Arduino should be at third base right now instead of first with 2 outs on a check swing. And that ball is in the dirt. And there you go. Back to the backstop. Runners advance to second and third. If Arduino is on third base, that's another run across. That's something we're going to have to check on, as runners are at second and third now. 2 outs here in the bottom of the second inning. Rustlers already with 2 across. 2 runs on 4 hits. Arduino at third, Galena at second. Speaking of second, Coach Ramos played second base for the Rustlers in 2002, and he watches Andovolgi take a ball outside. He reached on an error, on a throwing error by Jacob McClure at third in the first inning. Cole, 6-1 out of Gardena, another J. Serra product. Again, those 8 RBI in one game against OCC last week. He's got 2 on the pond right now. Nice changeup. 2 balls, 1 strike. And when you look at the fielding percentage for Jacob McClure, it's 7.69, fouled straight back. As a third baseman, you'd like to see that a little bit better by McClure. He's got 9 errors at third base this season, and with the one in the first inning, that'll be number 10. Outside, 3-1. And overall, Fullerton's hovering. If they get a couple more errors, they might be below 99.00 in fielding percentage. They've got 30 errors thus far in 13 games. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 on, swung through, foul tip, repeat. Runner at third is Orduno. At second is Galena. And again, the second inning, putting runs on the board for Golden West. This one's lifted in the right center field, up high. Underneath, Matt Darr makes the catch. So with 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors, 2 left on base, at the end of 1.5, Golden West 2, Fullerton nothing. We're coming up for the Fullerton turn at bat in the second inning. And then we got McClure, Tellez, and Chesley coming up for the Hornets. So when you look at the team comparison, while we weighed 94 runs for Golden West, 76 for the Hornets. I mean, hits are almost even. Fielding percentage, as Fullerton comes into the game at 937, 954 for the Rustlers. So both of those percentages you'd like to see more. If you talk to Mark Pavlovich, he wants 1,000%. If you talk to Ryan Osborne, he wants 98 to 99%. Me, just don't make any simple errors, as Fullerton's made 30 errors, and some of those have been simple. 19 for the Rustlers. Home runs, 8 home runs for the Hornets, 7 for the Rustlers. In a home run age, even at the community college level, if you're not hitting those home runs, take it back to 1985, 1984. Put it on the St. Louis Cardinals or those Oakland Athletics back in the day and let them run. Willie McGee was a community college playoffs, ran himself into the Major League Baseball and MVP in 1985. Maybe Dave Parker should have won that one, but that's an argument for the show on sportsnetusa.net, or what we used to do back in the day on Friday Night Mics is we had a spirited debate. Ryan and Mark can tell you about those. But we have the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK. Ryan Osborne taking over the mantle from Mark Pavlovich, who's passed it on down to future generations of people who think they know sports. So we bring it on to you and talk about it. As we come up in the bottom of the second inning, on the mound still, and we should see him for a long time, as Ricky Tiedemann delivers a strike, no balls and 1 strike. You see 11.1 innings pitched this season, 18 strikeouts, 7.15 earned run average, looking for his first victory of the season. 1 ball, 1 strike. So the Coaches Show will be coming back. We'll be talking to some softball coaches, Ryan Osborne and Joe Pavlenko will. And the show on sportsnetusa.net, that'll be Thursdays. Outside corner, caught it, 1-2. Corey Nalen, that's me. Mark Pavlovich, Ed Ford, sometimes coming on the air talking softball, football, basketball, whatever you want to talk about. The community college athletics is the focus. Fouled back and takes out the camera. Joe, get to work. Here on SportsNetUSA.net. So that show on Thursdays, and we'll talk to authors as well. Good subjects as well. Latinos in professional football, racial segregation in professional football as well have been topics on the show. And a couple other things, and we're going to talk to one. This is going to be a theme, and we'll get to it at the end of this inning as well. Couple points of interest as it sits here 1-2, and this one's lifted in the air into the outfield, and that is caught. Left fielder ranging over is Cole Andovolgi, excuse me, for the first out. So F7 if you're scoring at home. Julian Teller's the DH now. Stepping up to the plate for the Hornets. Now when you look at Julian on the season, only 3 at-bats, so he's getting time. No hits thus far. Takes it outside for a ball, 1-0. And you saw that good look right there. 2-0 Rustlers with the lead. Bottom of the second inning with 1 out. Foul back. So Julian Teller is wearing a different number than what's on his roster, or what's on the roster, excuse me. The DH looking to inject some life in into this Hornet offense. Also low, 2 balls and 1 strike. So head coach Chad Baum for the Hornets. Been around Southern California and Orange County baseball for years. This one is strung out to right center field. And that is also caught. So Sebastian Orduno with the putout. So 2 flyouts, 2 outs quickly. Sawyer Chesley, the first baseman, steps up to the plate. Freshman is batting .211 on the season. Out of Laguna Beach. 6'3", 225, freshman out of this Laguna Beach High School. Takes that outside. It's got 4 hits, a double, a triple included in those 4 hits, 6 RBI. 368 slugging percentage for the big right-hander. Takes that outside as well. 2 balls and no strikes. So Chad Baum, an alum of Cal State Fullerton. It's a good school. Got a couple titles in their history. Spent 13 seasons there. That was the 4th longest tenure, behind some names that you might have heard of in California and in college baseball in particular. Garrido, Horton, Vanderhook. There's you see his credentials, his resume. 10th head coach in Fullerton College history. As you see those 22 Major League Baseball players that he's coached, trying to get those guys into that major leagues, because that's probably every player's goal at the community college level. Get to the major leagues, or actually just get signed. And minor leagues is not a bad career. 2 balls and 2 strikes. And can you throw that graphic up one more time, Ryan? For Coach Chad Baum. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 balls and 3 strikes. So that means that's a strikeout. Got him swinging. 3 up, 3 down. 2004 national champion. That's something that Cal State Fullerton has, and that's something to discuss on the coaches show and the show many times with a couple other universities here in Southern California that don't have national championships. So that College World Series appearances, 6, that's one of those things that consistency for the Titans. That's all I got to say. Except for 3 up, 3 down. End of two complete. Rustlers 2, Hornets nothing. This is Fullerton College Baseball. On SportsNetUSA.net, Boyd, Casas, and Lappiner due up for the Rustlers. And on the flip side, Andrew Ramos. As we said earlier, only the third coach in Golden West history. 32 years for Fred Hoover. Or excuse me, 22 years for Fred Hoover. 32 years for Bert Villarreal. And here's Andrew Ramos looking to take another 20 years for Golden West. And it's one of those things that let's see if he can keep that tradition going. Assistant coach at Nevada Reno. And Ryan and Mark, we've seen quite a few clubs at the high school level from the Reno area at the Anaheim Lions tournament. That's one of those things that good talent from Nevada Reno. Let's see if he can recruit there as well to bring him down to Orange County. And those 7 players that moved on to the Division I level, ask any community college coach, any good community college coach, and they'll always say, our goal, our job is to get those kids on to the next level, academically and athletically. As Schubert starts the top of the 3rd inning and swinging is Julian Boyd. And that is a nice. That's out of here. So give me a text on that one, guys. It's Julian Boyd just laid that one out. 2nd home run of the season, 10th RBI for Julian Boyd. I didn't even get a chance to call the play. That was so quick it got out of here. 405 feet is straightaway center field. Boyd, 425 feet estimate as a left-hander laid into that one. And my goodness, that was drilled. And this one is pumped up by Casas. He's running around first, and that is the first out of the inning. Caught by Elias Rios. Julian Boyd is an athlete out there. Like we said, his 2nd home run, 10th RBI is going to improve that 350 average. And he's a guy out of St. John Bosco High School, Bellflower, California. 5'11", 170. 5'11", 170, and he just drilled it on Tuesday. What did he do on Tuesday? Had 1 hit, scored twice, walked. So he's having a good week thus far. 1 out here. In the top of the 3rd inning, Jackson Lappiner, who struck out looking his last time at the plate, fouls that one off. So 3-0 Rustlers. And again, for straight away, center field. And I'm with Ryan Osborne. That looked like a pop-up to me. And I heard it come off the bat. Did he go around? Home plate umpire says, ask, and he says no at first base. So 1 ball, 2 strikes. So I'm with Ryan. It looked like a pop-up to me. It sounded like a pop-up to me, but it was like I'm going to teach all you young players and young listeners that strung on and missed 2 outs. That ball took a fantastic voyage like Lakeside circa 1982 to straightaway center field. 3-0 is your score. Gunnar McGrann, who walked and scored in the 2nd inning, steps to the plate. And it's fouled back. No balls, 1 strike. And if you're a little bit younger, that would be Coolio from you youngsters from the mid-90s. That's there for Phil Austin. Those young guys at Hornet Field. That's in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Top of the 3. The score is 3-0. Rustlers with the lead. 2 outs. Schubert showing decent command here. Those 3 runs, except for that big home run. It was his first pitch swinging. Nobody got a chance to settle in. Inside, just missed below the knees. 2 balls and 1 strike. Out straight back. Camera stays safe. McGrath, 6 hits, or excuse me, 6 strikeouts on the season. Walked 3 times. And that's low. 3 balls and 2 strikes, another full count. He's been hit by a pitch once this season. Payoff delivery, outside corner, strike 3 called. Beautiful pitch by Justin Schubert. And that'll end the inning, but not before a big leadoff home run on first pitch swinging by Julian Boyd. His second home run of the season. 1 run, 1 hit. No errors, no left on base at the end of 2.5. Golden West 3, Hornets nothing. 4 hits for Golden West, 1 for the Hornets. 2 errors for the Hornets as well, none for the Rustlers. This is Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. Coming up for the Hornets, try to dig into that lead. David Barrios, Ryan Lamastra, the short and second baseman, and Dominic Martinez, the left fielder, who struck out in the first inning. And don't forget, Fullerton College is not just baseball, not just softball, not just athletics. It's schooling too. And if you like baseball and softball, come on over to Fullerton College. Take a sports broadcasting class in CRTV 145 for beginners, 146 for intermediate, and 147 courses for those advanced students of sports broadcasting, or just, come through the radio program, take all the classes. They got a couple decent instructors over there. Students make the teachers, so get on over there and make some people look good. One of those people is Mark Pavlovich, who for 20 years has been the voice of Fullerton College athletics, a proponent of Fullerton College, the school. And they didn't have a Hall of Fame this year, but the next time the Hall of Fame rolls around, as myself and a couple others have nominated Mark Pavlovich, get him into the Fullerton College Hall of Fame. There's no one more deserving as a first pitch delivered inside corner for a strike to David Barrios. Barrios on the season, he hasn't played much. So he's looking to get in there and do a job at short. He got the start there today, 0-1. Takes that one inside 1-1. But back to Mark Pavlovich for a moment. Nobody deserves a Hall of Fame induction more than Mark Pavlovich right now. 20 years as the voice, numerous contests, championship games, conference championship games. Just there when you need him, a proponent of that stadium that needs to be built at Fullerton College, outside 2-1. A big-time proponent of that football stadium, Hal Sherbick Field. It needs to be built. He gave some a piece of his mind last year, or 2 years ago, in that big meeting. 3 balls and 1 strike. So put him in. If you need another nomination for him, let me know. Heck, let Ryan know and let Joseph know. Put that in right now when you go home. Mark Pavlovich for Fullerton College Hall of Fame. So 3 balls, 1 strike to David Barrios. The shortstop gets the start. Bloomberg doesn't get the start today. 3 balls, 1 strike, no outs. That's inside. Ooh. Looked off the plate, but they're going to say 3 balls, 2 strikes. Barrios was headed to first base. Up high, takes it back. Yeah, we know about Lou. He's already there. We don't care about Lou right now. We care about Mark. Payoff pitch on the way, bounce back over the head of Tiedemann, and that's going to be an infield hit. Or did they get him? They're going to say got him just in time. As a great play by Stephen Casas, ranging over behind the mound, throwing over to Christian Lamar for the first out. Wow. Hustling down was David Barrios, but not quick enough. 6-3 if you're scoring at home. Ryan LeMastre checks in. Up to the plate, the right-hander. The second baseman, the freshman, batting .077. 6 strikeouts, 4 walks, 2 RBI. Takes that on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. And can I say no 1? Since that'll be a count as a 0, I think I'm going to start that, see if that catches on. No 1 is the count. 1-1 now at the knees, or excuse me, at the feet. LeMastre did not, or he did play on Tuesday. Zeros across the board. Takes one up the middle, and that one does not have a play by the middle infield. 1 on for the Hornets. So let's see if they can get something going with the top of the order. Dominic Martinez steps up to the plate. Martinez struck out in his first at bat in the first inning. Ryan LeMastre with speed on the base paths. Let's see if the Hornets can at least get one with 1 out. Try to lay one down. Left-handed batter. Let's see if he can drag one down the first base line, leg out an infield hit, but more importantly, get that runner over to second base. The lefty delivers low and inside and look good enough for Martinez to take a look and swing. He does. 0-1. Dominic was 3 for 5 on Tuesday. Struck out once. So 3 for 5 tells me he's got some bat control. And better control is Tiedemann. That was nice. Like a slider to the outside part of the plate. He comes inside again, look for a screwball down and low. No balls, 2 strikes, don't give him anything good to hit. If you're the Rustlers, lefty delivers. Outside corner, just missed 1-2. So Mark Pavlovich, want to ask you a question. With a runner at first base and 1 on, good batter at the plate, should you be more patient? Should you try to advance the runners, get the runner in scoring position, and hope you can get that base hit with the next hitter? Or do you keep swinging away? And there's strike 3 swinging. So Elias Rios now steps to the plate. I thought so. That's what you do. Instead of 3 swings and 3 pitches, actually 4 pitches, none of them were in the zone. You go down swinging. Runner stays at first base with good speed. Now there's 2 outs. Elias Rios now up to bat. Here's a situation where you have the top of the order batting. Let's send the runner. Swinging through, especially now. There's 2 outs, 1 on, top of the order. If you get thrown out at second base, you come back next inning with the top of the order and try to do some damage. You're down 3-0. Got to make things happen and make moves if you're the Hornets. Tiedemann delivers. There goes the runner. That's going to be a stolen base for Ryan LeMastre. There we go. Hornets broadcasters on the same wavelength right now. So with 2 outs, a runner in scoring position now. Elias Rios has a chance. Rios has got 7 RBI. That's low in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike. And if you watch Tiedemann, he's been in the dirt on these last 2 batters. Rios 1 home run with those 7 RBI. Problem is, he's only walked once, and he's got 10 strikeouts. 393 average, 536 slugging percentage. Bottom of the 3rd inning, 3-0 is your score. Hornets looking to cut into the lead. An off-speed pitch, Rios waits on it. That goes into the 5 hole, and here comes LeMastre. Safe at home. Tag was high. Lamastra slides in for the first run of the game for the Hornets on an RBI single by Elias Rios. And there you go, just like that. You get a runner in scoring position, and Rios comes up clutch, 3-1. Bottom of the third. This will bring up Matt Darr. Let's see if that starts something for the Hornets with 2 outs. Let's see if the Hornets can go back to 2013. We saw a lot of 2-out rallies in the 2013 season, 2014 and as well. And that's outside and high, 1-0. Ryan and Mark were talking on Tuesday about the 3 best players since 2013 for the Hornets. And you're talking about Shane Carrier at the plate, let's say. And he was part of those teams in in 16, 15. Joey Parente as well, who handled the bat well with 2 outs. It was never a gimme out. Runner at first base is Elias Rios. And that almost hit the runner. There goes a runner again, and another steal. This one is Rios, who slides in head first to second. Another runner in scoring position with 2 outs. It makes it a little bit easier for Matt Darr to relax. Puts the pressure on Ricky Tiedemann to throw well. With that seeing eye single by Rios, you got to be careful. Fullerton really finding their stride their second time through here. Darr's got 2 home runs, a triple, and 2 doubles. This one's back up the middle, just a flare. Darr runs, picked up by Jenkins over to first as Darr takes a tumble. And let's hope the young man is okay as Jenkins throws over to first base to Lamar, and that'll be the 3rd out, but not before. You get 1 run on 2 hits and 1 left on base. So at the end of 3, Golden West 3, Fullerton 1. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. Corey Mark, Ryan Joe, bringing you all the action. 90.1 KBPK as well in the house. And you look at the defense again, you know, we got the same mentality, Mr. Osborne. Justin Schubert on the mound for the Hornets. His battery mate is Jacob Sharp, Matt Darr, Rios, and Martinez in the outfield. McClure, Barrios, Lamastra, and Chesley on the infield, right to left and left to right. Fullerton down 2 runs, 3-1. And then we start the top of the 4th inning. Lamar, Jenkins, and back to the top with Orduno. So Jacob McClure has had a rough third base here in the first few innings. Leads the team with 10 errors, 10 of the 30 errors coming from a third baseman. And don't forget on Sportsnet USC, we're on the same level. Thank you guys. As you look at the scoring updates and the rest of the scores around the California Community College Athletic Association, you look at the bottom of the 2nd, Diablo Valley 6, Sierra nothing. Top of the 5th, Mount Sac and OCC. Mounties on top 1-0 in the top of the 5th. IVC is over Saddleback 7-3 in the top of the 3rd. And Laney 6-0. The 2018 state champs in football has the lead, and a few other games were canceled up north. 3-1 your score. Christian Lamar got an RBI double in the 2nd and scored a run. And he gets into one, extends those quickly around first base, getting to the Ivy, 2 second base. He's got another double. Going to try to stretch it to 3. He is. And there's third base, and it's coming home. And inside the park home run by Christian Lamar. That ball was belted in the left center field. The deepest part of Hornet Field over by the cameras at SportsNetUSA.net put up Ryan and Joe. He was aiming for the cameras and he gets an inside the park home run. Haven't seen one of those in years. And Christian Lamar, the first baseman, my goodness, that's just a hustle play. So 4-1 Hornets. I mean, as soon as he hit that ball, he took off and he rounded first base, and it was going to be a double all the way. I thought it was going to be a triple because he showed no hesitation. And you got to credit the third base coach as well, as there was trouble in the outfield, and he rounded third base, and he was clearly going to be safe. It brings up the ninth batter, Miles Jenkins, who had an RBI single in the second inning. So and there is second straight hit, a single in the left field. So the scores at the field are telling me it should have been caught in the outfield. So I'm giving it an inside the park home run right now. So if it's an error, it's a single, or it's going to be an E4. So we'll see what happens. Mark, go ahead and text me on that. So 4-1. Here's your score. That's what the ultimately results in. Mark Pavlovich should put on some headsets, get on the air, and join us. And inside the park home run sounds better than he should have caught it. So I'm going to leave it as is with the runner on first. Throw over from Schubert. Back in time is Jenkins. Orduno singled, stole a base in the second, flew out in the first. So they are going to call it a fielding error by Elias Rios. So it's only a single and a three-base error. And high. So that doesn't sound as good as an inside the park home run, but it's still good hustle. One ball and one strike. So that's an unearned run given up by Schubert. I believe that's the third error of the game for the Hornets. And 5 hits for the Rustlers, 4 runs on those 5 hits. Very efficient for Golden West. 1 run, 3 hits, 3 big errors for the Hornets. Top of the 4th inning. Fullerton is 3-10 on the season. Golden West 2-11. Off speed pitch is low, 2 balls and 1 strike. And when you look at straightaway center, that's 405, 373 in left center, 373 in right center, 365 in left center. Down the left field line is 334, and the right field line is 340. This is in the dirt and gets away from Sharp. Advancing to second will be Jenkins. So Jenkins at second, Orduno at the plate. And this is a time where you've been paying attention or watching Fullerton College baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. You've noticed that Fullerton lacks a little focus, and sometimes when adversity hits, they usually come back and try to come back a little bit, but they get to a certain situations where that focus is lost and they get into trouble. They put their heads down instead of keeping them up, and that usually leads to 1 or 2 runs that really crucial throughout this season as a result of their record at 3-10. So let's see if the Hornets can keep their heads up, get out of this inning, as there's no outs and a runner in scoring position at second, 1 run already through. And that's Jenkins at second. Barrios bird dogging him out short, and that is a walk. Fourth walk given up by Schubert.
Okay. Mr. Nalen, I just want to, some people need to know when it comes to baseball, there are correct way of calling plays, and then there are some people that just don't understand the game.
If this is a critique, cut off the microphone. I don't want no critiques, or else you got to stay on the air with me the whole game. So go ahead, finish that next thought.
I mean, the whole thing is, you get there, you get to where the ball's going to land, you settle underneath it, the wind does not affect it, you knew what the trajectory was, and then it bounces off the top of your glove. That's an error. I mean, I know some of you old guys,
Well, I'm going to give it to you just only because you had a better view than I did. I'm going to give you that. This is the only time I'll give you something. I will give you that error.
We could have been sitting next to each other, and you still would have given the guy a hit. I know you. You just got too much kindness in you.
I do. Yes, I do. I'm like the light side of the Jedi. I can lean toward the gray. The Mark is just the dark side. That's okay. You need that balance in the force, so it's all right. That's why we're good partners out there. You got Ryan and Joe. That's the good and the bad, the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. Good force people. You and me, same thing. We're good force.
Here's the thing, Corey, if you're a Fullerton College fan. The Hornets have yet to really had one of those games where they get all the breaks. And that's why their record is where it is today. When you look at Golden West College, if they hit it at somebody, somebody drops it. And the Hornets have not played teams that have done what they've done. And when they do, the record will change and the attitude of players will change while they're on the field. So it's a really talented ball club, this Fullerton team. They just haven't found that break.
Right, and that's what we've been watching all season. It's like that talent is there, but the mentality, it seems like once something goes wrong, it's going to stay with them. We've seen them try to bounce back, but it's just another thing will go wrong. They haven't had that perseverance and gotten over that hump when they tried to come out. So with runners at first and second, Schubert's still on the mound. So let's see if the Hornets can motor through this one. There's no outs. And have a positive rest of this fourth inning. And there's ball number 4. So we're going to have bases loaded. Orduno at second. Galena, who just got the walk there, at first, and Jenkins at third. And also would like to know, with so many players on the Hornet squad and so much adversity that they've had this season, is there an opportunity for the entire squad to play? I mean, you have an abundance of players. That's a nice off-speed pitch for a strike for Schubert. If there's an opportunity to get more players out there to try to inject some positivity, try to inject some enthusiasm and emotion into the squad. As Schubert steps off the rubber, gathers himself. We sit here at 4-1 Rustlers. This one's popped up. That'll be caught by Dar. And tagging up from third is Jenkins, and he'll score easy. Advancing to third base is Orduno. Staying at first is Galena. That sac fly will score a run from Andovolgi, and that'll bring up Julian Bond, who homered his last time at bat. And that's only the first out of the inning. 2 runs thus far. Runners at first and third, top of the fourth, 5-1 Rustlers. Lamar, a single and a 3-base error to score the first run. He led off the inning. Jenkins got on base with a single and scored just now. Bond takes that one outside corner for a strike. Orduno tagged from second after he walked. After he walked, Galena walked. He's at first base. Orduno tagged on that sacrifice fly, and he's at third base. No balls and 1 strike, 1 out. Boyd takes that one for strike 2. And that's just a bit outside. And Julian Boyd, excuse me if I keep calling him Julian Bond. Julian Bond, of course, everyone knows, was a civil rights leader. Important member of the movement. And there's one in the dirt. Advancing to second is Galena. No throw down. Runners at second and third, and Boyd at the plate. 1 home run already and walked in the first. He's 1 for 1 today. 5-1 Rustlers. Mount Sac in the bottom of the fifth, still a 1-0 lead over Orange Coast. Santa Ana has a 6-4 lead over Cypress in the top of the 4th inning. Saddlebacks come back down. They were down 7-3 to Irvine. It's now 7-7 in the top of the 3rd. Laney is still up 6-0 in the bottom of the 7th, guys. How'd you like to be at this game? Feather River 11, Shasta 11. I think that game started at 10 o'clock this morning or something like that. Whew. And Mark, you were mentioning about the breaks that Fullerton College hasn't gotten. Tell me how close that pitch was on that 2-2 delivery on the outside part of the plate. And not called a strike, it's called a ball. So 3 balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. Runners at second and third, 4-run lead. And late, Schubert blows it by him for his 4th strikeout. This will bring up Steven Casas. Casas is 0 for 2. Oxnard, they have a doubleheader versus Antelope Valley in the top of the 8th inning. They're up 14-6. As you see, a nice 73 degrees out at Hornet Field. 1 ball and no strikes. Butte beat Lassen College, improves to 12-2. They beat them 11-8. One pitch is right at the letters on the outside corner. 1-1. Swings through. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Haas is out of Marina High School. 5'8", 160. He's a freshman. Did not play in that 21-5 win on Tuesday. Fails out with a stay alive. 1-2 the count. 5-1 is your score with 2 outs here. Orduno at third, Galena at second. And a Volgi sacrifice fly scored Jenkins from third base. A single and a 3-base error for Lamar. Those are the 2 runs that came across So with 1 and 2, high heat mows him down. The sixth strikeout for Schubert, but not before 2 runs come across. So 2 runs on 2 hits, 1 error, 2 left on base, and at the end of 3.5, Golden West 5, Hornets 1. This is Fullerton Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net in conjunction with 90.1 KBPK. So we look at the Orange Empire Conference standings. Santa Ana at 8-5 overall. They're 7-0 in the OEC. Orange Coast College is 8-1. Cypress started off hot this season, come down to earth a little bit. They're 5-2 with Saddleback also at 5-2. Then you look at the bottom half, 5 through 8. IVC 3-7. Fullerton's 1-9. Golden West 1-9. So this game here will put one of those teams in full possession of sixth place. In Riverside, they opted out, so they don't have any teams playing at this time, whether it's baseball or softball or any other those spring sports. Ricky Tiedemann still on the mound for the Golden West Rustlers.
And Corey, you look at this young man that's on the mound for the Rustlers. I mean, I'm out here watching him. He consistently brings the ball in about 93, 94 miles an hour on a fastball. His breaking ball is about 73. He has a little changeup in there that still stays around in the 70s. Many of the scouts have already said they think he'll go high in the draft. And, we'll see what's going on today. If you're Fullerton, drop a bunt, get runners on, and then challenge his move to first base. This is a strategy right now. Make the defense play defense for Golden West College.
And you look to see that as a pitch comes in high. So ball 1 to Jacob Sharp, the catcher, who flew out to center field his first time at bat. He'll be followed by Jacob McClure and Julian Tellez. Fullerton on the season as a team. The 1-0 pitch is grounded to short. Up with it is Casas. Over to Lamar for 1 out. So Fullerton as a team, batting .261, 366 on base percentage, 373 slugging percentage. That's as a team in only 800 runs. And to your point, Mark, putting the ball in play, putting pressure on Tiedemann, on the Golden West team, on that defense to make plays, that's going to be crucial in getting back into this game. They're down 4 runs. You got to make things happen as Tiedemann delivers a strike there.
Well, yeah, Corey, and if you look at the fielding percentages for both of these teams, they're not great fielding percentages. And so, I mean, as a strategist in baseball, you need to say, hey, we need to make them catch the ball. We need to make them field the ball. And we've already seen it today in the Hornet game. The Hornets have 3 errors in this game already, many of them leading to runs.
Yeah, and that's just a lapse of focus. That's you're not mentally into the game, as that's a strike delivered, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And you're not going to lay a bunt down here as Jacob McClure, who has 2 home runs, really in one of your power hitters, and 12 RBI. But the problem is he struck out 15 times. It's outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. So McClure takes that in the dirt. Freshman out of Canyon High School. Runs the count full at 3-2. And I know, Mark, you and Ryan and Joe have been out there for every home game for the Hornets. What's the attitude like out there at the field? And McClure fouls one down to the right side.
Well, Corey, you brought up about attitude. I think the attitude for the ball players out here is a positive one. For Golden West, they're having fun. And that was about 3.5 inches off the plate, called for a strike. I mean, every once in a while, an umpire gets caught up in looking at somebody throwing strikes. But the attitude, I mean, for Fullerton is positive. I met a lot of players after the game. They're staying positive. They're trying to stay positive for a season that isn't going the direction they would like. And we'll see how it continues towards the end of the season.
And Tiedemann delivers low, below the knees. 1 ball and no strikes to Tellez. Tellez flew out to center field his first time at bat. And that looked more like a strike than the last pitch to McClure. And he chases this one 0-2. And you talked about, and Ryan's texted also about the movement and the velocity and changes of Tiedemann. So he comes with an off-speed pitch on the first pitch. That second pitch, he comes with some heat. It doesn't look like it was one of those 95-mile-an-hour ones. And he takes something off of that as well. Check swing for a strike 1-2. But it seems like he does a nice job of mixing up his pitches and mixing up his velocities. 1-2 delivery in the dirt, 2-2.
He's got a real unusual motion, Corey, and the thing is he starts, puts a little hesitation step when he's coming, and then he continues to come through just enough to throw off a batter's timing.
And 3 balls and 2 strikes. I see what you mean there with that little hesitation. So the next game we do, or the next game that I do for Fullerton, I'm going to have to come out there and join you guys so I can get that full asthma feeling. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tellez lifts one in the outfield. Looks like left center field. And did it get away from the left fielder?
So here's
and Mark, guys, you're going to have to help me with that one.
Here's the debate right now in the press box. Some of the individuals in the press box feel like the ball went over. Ryan Osborne says just a little to the left of the 405 line. It went 3/4 of the way up. The umpire who went running out there claims that it only went 3/4 of the way up, so it is a ground rule double because the ball gets lost in the ivy. And if you're a defensive player, best thing you can do is throw up your hands. Ryan and I saw that in a game a couple weeks ago where a left fielder for an opponent threw up his hands. Ryan and I could see the ball exposed here in the press box, and they called a ground rule double in favor of the opposing team against the Hornets.
So I'm going to leave it to you guys. Was it a home run or is it a ground rule double? Did they make that right call?
Yeah, it's a ground rule double.
Okay. So ground rule double for Tellez with 2 outs. They're down 4 runs. And Sawyer Chesley struck out his last time at the plate. Takes that for a strike. So, Mark, if you can tell me what the difference is between his full windup and pitching from the stretch from Tiedemann. Or if he's even pitching from the stretch.
When you watch him from the stretch, the thing that he does is he opens up his hips a little quicker coming to home. He has a tendency for me, he drags the arm from windup. But when you watch him here, he kicks his hips through really well from the stretch. And I think he actually gets a little more velocity from the stretch than he does from a windup.
And with that, do you see more of an opportunity that the Hornets may have, running through the rest of the ball game? We're here at the bottom of the 4th. They're down 4 runs. And attempt to move against him on the base pass. Not that time, just blows it right by him. That's got to be in the 94 range. No runs, 1 hit. and no errors. So at the end of 4 complete, Rustlers 5, Hornets 1. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net.
You know,
So
it's
Corey
interesting,
Nayland and Mark
Corey. We have the
Pavlovich.
manager
Oh,
out for
go.
Fullerton College right now discussing that ball that he's going to claim, like a lot of people did, the ball went over the fence. I already saw him look at the umpire and claim that it probably was a home run. We can't tell unless we go out there and look for that baseball. But once again, it's just the Hornets just don't seem to get that initial break. And give it to all these young men, these student athletes for this Hornet team to keep positive attitudes when you keep thinking you can't get a break. Says a lot for every one of these players on the team, as now we're going to get a change on the mound with a new pitcher for the Hornets.
Yeah, and I think that's impressive to keep that mentality up, that keep striving for it. And David Shlomovitz was now the new pitcher, 5'11", 180, sophomore out of University High School in Irvine. And Mark and Ryan, you talk about keeping that head up as Martinez and Rios and Dar in the outfield, McClure, Barrios, Lamastra, and Chesley. And in the infield with Sharp at catcher, Shlomovitz now on the mound, and we'll get to his numbers in just a moment. But you talk about the perseverance that these players have. We've seen them play well and play through adversity, but on a play like Tellez, when he hits the ball deep that far, I think they got to force the umpire's hands and to yell and scream and say that is a home run at the time the ball is in the air to maybe influence the umpires. I know we see it in basketball. Try to influence that some way in the game of baseball for the Hornets. As Shlomovitz, his 5th appearance of this season. He's got 2 of the 3 wins for the Hornets. He's pitched 7 and 2/3 innings. He's got 3 strikeouts with 6 walks. That's a strike. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And a 7.044 earned run average. And I'm sorry, Mark, when was the last time you've seen such a high earned run average from a Fullerton College Hornets team? 8.3 as a team is the ERA. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Well, I mean, when you look at a total team ERA that's in the high sevens, of course, I mean, some people would find that acceptable in softball, but
Turn him off. Just turn him off.
Corey, we use softball as an example because as well as they're playing, it's true in baseball too. You have to have solid pitching, excellent defense, and timely hitting. The same 3 that we give softball out there. And when your ERA is 7 in the high sevens, you're going to have problems winning games. And the Hornets have searched for quality pitching all year long. We're going to go back to Ryan Osborne's statement. He thinks COVID did affect a lot of these players when you look at all the scores up and down in California.
Yeah, it had to because they didn't get that repetition. They didn't get a chance to play. They didn't have the chance to do those baseball things. So I agree with you, Ryan, as the count is full with no outs to Jackson Lappiner. So Mark, Ryan, what is an acceptable earned run average in the game of baseball? Payoff pitch, strike 3 looking.
Well, Corey, the consensus here is below 3 by
Okay.
the 2 young men that are out here. So that's
Now,
what we're
is
looking
that
at
community college? Is that overall?
overall.
Okay. See, and I might have to say I would like 3 and under, but community college I would put that up to 3.5. Delivers the first pitch to McGran for a strike, who walked in the second, scored a run, and struck out in the third.
You know what? Pretty soon I'm going to be handing the headsets to Ryan Osborne.
And there's strike 2 on the outside. No balls and 2 strikes with 1 out. Rustlers at the plate with a 5-1 lead.
Some of us are brutal out here, but Ryan's played the game as you have in the past. And And Ryan really believes at any level, because of the quality of hitter that you're doing. When you start saying and you make it from different leagues, the hitters may not be as good in community college. If the pitchers aren't, still the numbers should stick around 3, like Ryan said.
There's ball outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. So 3 would be advantageous to a team as you look at Schmolovitz's numbers. And there's strike 3, another strikeout, second one looking 2 away. Christian Lamar now, who had a single and a 3-base error his last time at bat. And I think just simply because the hitting has gotten so good that 3.5 would still be fine for a championship team. And this one's lifted in the straightaway center field. And that is a single, second time on in as many at-bats as Lamar gets on base.
Well, let me relay something that a baseball fan said to me, and we'll talk about a local pro team. And yes, it's the same conception because we're talking about the game of baseball. It said about a local pro team, if they had pitching, they'd be a quality team. That was said about the California Angels. I think it's true at every
I
level.
think, and Mark, I think the statement was if they had pitching, they'd be a championship team, not even a decent team. They'd win a championship. So yeah, I guess I can agree with you both. Maybe. 2 outs, top of the 5th inning. 5-1 lead for the Rustlers. Runner on first base is Lamar. Schmolowitz delivers another strike. 1 ball and 1 strike.
This game is being recorded, right, Joe? Because he just agreed with me, and I need that little sound check there.
I said I could agree with you. Insurance speak. Not necessarily agreeing with you, but I could.
Well,
2 balls, 1 strike.
you could be a size 33-inch waist, too. You could.
I could. I could. But right now I'm not. There's a 3 and a 4 in there. I'll let you take your pick on where the 4 should be. 3 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs, top of the 5th inning. And I gotta ask, is there a crowd at the field? Strike 2 swinging.
there, there are people from baseball organizations watching the young man pitching for Golden West College today.
Okay.
So there's not a crowd. Now, if you climb into the broadcast booth, there is.
All right, and there's a strikeout swinging. Schmolowitz strikes out the side, so no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. So at the end of 4.5, Rustlers still 5-1 over the Hornets. And the Hornets will bring up Barrios, Lamastra, and top of the order, Martinez.
Corey,
And Mark, can I
go
get one
back
of
to
those?
something you said earlier, which I really appreciate. You brought up the thing about coaches going out and arguing about things. You brought up basketball. We have a fiery coach in Perry Webster. Anybody who's watched Perry on the court understands this. We've had fiery football coaches through the years of all the games we've done here at Fullerton College. Some where it's become contentious with the referees. Nick Buscardo, when he managed here, would come out and say things every once in a while. So I really do. I've got to go back. How much influence does a fiery coach, manager, assistant coach have in a game?
I think it varies through sports. I think baseball a contentious and fiery coach can get calls at the plate. Those calls that, especially here in community college where you don't have replay, you can get those bang bang plays at first base. You can get those to your side. You can maybe get a call, a strikeout call, stretch that plate on the outside corner, like you say. The black is not part of the plate. Now it is with the coach. I think it's one of those things that they have to get fiery in some situations to pump up your team, and sometimes that's needed mid-game at someone else and directed not at your team, but directed at someone else to show you have your team's back.
Yeah, I like what you said there because I really do. You need to know every once in a while as a player, your manager loves you.
Yeah, and there's some sky high pop up on the right side. And that one is caught by the first baseman, Christian Lamar. So Barrios grounded out to short and pops up to first in his two at bats today. So Ryan Lemaster, who singled and scored the only run of the day for the Hornets in the third inning, steps up to the plate. His single increased his batting average from 188. Shows bunt, takes strike. Bottom of the fifth inning. And Mark, if you're still there, I'm going to have you do some public service announcements as well at the end of this inning. That looks like a strike. Nice off-speed pitch. No balls and two strikes. Now he looks like he's got a change up. It looks like he's got an off-speed pitch. We know he's got a fastball. Does he have any other pitchers, any sliders?
He did
Or,
throw a slider.
you know, he did, okay. This one's lined back up for a single. Lemaster 2 for 2. Okay, and guys, I want to ask you a question. Lemaster got to first base quickly, rounded first base. Is he as quick or fast as he seems just there on that as he got that single?
He's quick, Corey. I don't think he's overly fast. He's quick. He's got a great first step when you look at him. So, I mean, he's somebody going now. Here again, hey, my season, I'm not going to win this conference. I want to put the pressure on the young man on the mound and make him pick me off.
And there's one to the backstop. So especially with one out and Lemaster now at second base, Dominic Martinez, who struck out twice from La Habra High School, has got a chance to move the runner over, or, as you said, Mark, Tiedemann, let's see why all the scouts are there. Put some pressure on him. And if he handles it, that's good for him. But if he doesn't, that's good for the Hornets. So Cassis, bird dogging at short. This one's to the right side, gets through the hole. That's going to be a single. Is it going to score Lemaster from second? And it's not. And Mark, that just goes to show you that Julian Boyd says, Fullerton needs to make their luck. And he says, you know what, I'm the luck ender, as he throws him out from right field. And there's two away.
Yeah, and this goes back to what you asked too about Lemaster when he was on base. Is he fast or is he quick? He's quick. And so when you've got to make that run, quickness is great from base to base, but it's not great from getting from second to third to home. That you need speed.
Right. And he didn't have that big a jump at second base. You like the aggressiveness, though, but he didn't have that jump from second base that he needed on a sharply hit ball to right field. So 2 outs, and the score remains a 4-1 lead for the Rustlers, 5-1. But it did get Martinez his first hit of the game. He's now 1 for 3, and Rios now checks in. Rios swings out of his shoes, basically. 1-1.
So Corey, 2 days ago I found a bat in the parking lot. I thought it was mine because nobody else was claiming it.
Okay.
I was playing with it today here, and the young man that's at the plate, he has somebody say to him, I think the bat you lost, the old guy's got it. He comes walking over to me and he goes, I think that's my bat. I showed it to him and he goes, oh my God, that's my favorite bat. I gave it to him today. His first time up, he got a base hit, drove in a ribby. So I'm 1 for 1 with 1 RBI.
You're 1 for 2 with one RBI. Actually, he's 1 for 2 with one RBI. You're getting assists for giving him the bat back.
That's right. Ryan
So
Osborne just
Rio's
said
looking to go.
my glove hand is still good.
And you know what? I heard you gave the example of and there's strike three swinging, and that would look too easy for Tiedemann. So no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left on base at the end of 5-1 Rustlers. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net in conjunction with a couple guys from 90.1 KBPK. So Mark Pavlovich, can I get a couple PSAs?
Well, I tell you what, for those of you that are listening at home and listening to the two old guys have a ball here, the reason we did is we both went back to community college late in life. That's right. You could be watching this game right now and decide, I need to do something. Life is passing me by. I need to be active. Maybe it's you've always wanted to be somebody that could throw pottery or get out the oils and do that. Maybe you're somebody that wants to learn how to work on their own car. Vocational classes here at all the community colleges in Southern California. Maybe you're that old person that just came up short on your degree and you need an additional 15 units. Come on back to community college. Or maybe you just say, you know what, I love sports like Corey, Mark, and Ryan Osborne. I could call those games. I love the game as much as these guys do. Then you sign up for the 145 sports broadcasting class at Fullerton College. So no matter what you may do, what you may want to do, there's always an opportunity, a class for you at your local community college here in California. We've all done it. You can do it. And that's what we all believe here at SportsNetUSA.net.
Thank you. And we'll get another one for a couple shows on Sportsnet at 90.1 as well. And that first pitch delivered by Schmolowitz is fouled back. At top of the order, Sebastian Orduno, Logan Galena, and Cole Andovolgi. Schmolowitz 2-0, 7.2 innings pitched, 7 earned run average, and 3 Ks. That was coming into the game. He struck out the side last inning, so he's got 6 Ks on the season. Top of the 6, just below the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike. And don't forget on SportsNetUSA.net, tomorrow, Fullerton College softball. The final 2 games of the 4-game set with Golden West. 12 noon and 2:30 on Sportsnet. Mark, Ryan, who's got those games?
I believe it's the franchise, and then an old guy is going to wander out to the softball field and call game number 2.
There's a strike 3. Nice pitch. That's 4 strikeouts. 3 looking for Schmolowitz. So who's the old guy? Ed Ford's going to come out there?
Thank you, Corey Nailing.
As we have Logan Galena, who grounded to the pitcher's first at bat, singled and walked in bats number 2 and 3. Takes the first pitch outside corner for a strike. In baseball tomorrow, the last game of this 4-game set is also a doubleheader between Golden West and Fullerton. They're going to be at Golden West. So first game at noon, second game at 3 in that baseball doubleheader. And if you don't like baseball and don't want to watch baseball or softball, beach volleyball at Santa Ana tomorrow. You can go out and watch them. Fullerton College beach volleyball is 5-0 on the season. And here's Galena with a good crack for a nice single in the right center field. So his second hit of the day. Been on base his last 3 at-bats. And this will bring up Andovolgi, who's 0 for 3. Right-hander's going to step in the plate.
And
Women's
Corey,
tennis is going on today at Fullerton. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
can I interrupt you for a second because we should mention it today? Willie Mays turned 90 years old. One of the greatest professional baseball players of all time, if not the greatest, and could be the home run leader of all time, realizing that he gave up 2 of his prime years in the military. Could have broke Babe Ruth's record. Willie Mays' happy 90th birthday.
Wow. Yeah, arguably the greatest baseball player of all time. I mean, you wouldn't be wrong if you said he is the greatest. No balls and 2 strikes. Man, that we're gonna have to come up with the list. 1-1. And Ryan, this goes for you too. We still want to do that simulation of the baseball because I wanted to prove that I was the better GM between you and Mark and me. One pitch. It's going to be a wild pitch. As much as Sharp could have had that, tried to backhand it just a little bit too low and 2 in the dirt from Schmolovitz, and Galeno advances to second base. Also today going on at Orange Coast, Fullerton College women's tennis, who's 4-1 on the season. And Fullerton College, the men's team, is hosting Orange Coast in tennis. They're 0-3 on the season. The men's tennis lost to OCC on the 4th, 7-2. That's fouled back 2-2. And the women's team beat OCC, excuse me, 9-0. So they 4 wins on the season for the women's tennis team. Two balls, 1 strike, top of the 6th, 5-1 is the score. Runner at second base is Galena, and the Volgi looking to get on base for the first time today. And that's not going to happen. Another strikeout looking. We'll bring up Julian Boyd, who has a big home run, a walk, and a strikeout. And guys, don't forget the Fullerton College Spirit Squad. They're having tryouts for the 2021-2022 season. So that's a nationally ranked team, and they're open for signups. They're going to do it virtually this season. So, Mark, you got a chance to submit your tape.
Yeah,
Side corner, strike
Joe
1 to
and I have
Boyd.
a cheer, Corey, that we'll do one day for you.
You know, I can't wait to see that. I really could wait to see that. There's strike number 2 to Boyd. And it's interesting, guys. Boyd is one of those players that when he jumps on the first couple pitches and is aggressive, good things happen for him. We saw that on Tuesday as well. The last 2 at-bats, or the last at-bat, he struck out waiting for his pitch. And late, staying alive type of swing there. No balls and 2 strikes remains with 2 outs. A consistent hitter with 2 home runs and 10 RBI. Another player who has more strikeouts than walks. An off-speed pitch barely nubs it off the end of the bat. So, Mark, Ryan, you talked about Willie Mays in the all-time or home run or could have broken Babe Ruth's record. Who do you consider as the all-time home run leader in Major League Baseball? Off-speed pitch is low and outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Corey, Ryan didn't quite hear you, so if you could say that again.
Who would you consider the all-time home run leader in Major League Baseball? Swung on and missed. And again, striking out the side is Shmulevitz. No runs, one hit. No errors and one left on base. So at the end of 5.5, it's still 5-1. Hornets down by 4, bringing Matt Dard, Jacob Sharp, and Jacob McClure some runs across the plates for the Hornets.
Well, Mr.
Career home
Nalen,
run
to
leaders
go
for football.
back to your
What's that?
question about that, I'm going to lean towards Henry Aaron and call him the home run king. I know his at-bats were extended because he became a designated hitter, which Willie never got to do. Willie's a couple years older than Hammer and Hank Aaron. So I'm going to go with Hank Aaron. I'm going to get my headsets off. I'm going to let Ryan Osborne sort of comment on this and let him make a statement. So that's my choice, and let me give it over to Ryan Osborne so he can justify his. Hold on a second.
All right, Corey, so I will give it to Barry Bonds. And the reason being is because as long as baseball has been around, there has been a form of PEDs. Why do I say that? Because you go back to the days of Greenies, you go back to the days of Mickey Mantle, and how for the most part, everyone agreed that the reason why he had that hip abscess was because of a shot to make sure that he was able to perform his best. So I think that if you're going to honor stars from back then, you also honor Barry Bonds. Not to mention the fact that the MLB also profited from Barry Bonds' chase for that home run title. I don't think they have the opportunity to go back and say, oh, you know what? We have the moral superiority over Barry Bonds when they were able to capitalize on it for so long. So Barry Bonds is my home run king.
All right. Thanks, guys. That's the first pitch swinging. Grounded into the hole. That's going to be a base hit. A base hit for Matt Dard. So he's got his second single of the game. And let's see if that starts something for the Hornets in their bottom half of the 6th inning. This will bring up Jacob Sharp, the catcher. Jacob 0 for 2 today. And Ryan, I do agree with you. I think I'm going to call Barry Bonds as the Major League home run leader of all time. And a lot agreeing with your assessment. And guys, a home run leader for career for Fullerton College, Tom Wilson in the 90-91 season. For a career, 26 home runs. His first pitch delivers as a strike to Sharp. Andy Tellez with 21, and tied for third is Bo Bryant and Mitch Levier. They both have 20. Tellez had 21. Outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Ryan, you were talking about Shane Carrier as your top 3 guys from that question from 2013. He's number 7 on the all-time list of home runs for Fullerton with 14. Fouled straight back, 1 and 2.
Corey, you want to talk about the Tellez that's in the record books with home runs and is honored on the Wall of Fame directly behind us? One of his relatives now plays for Fullerton College, playing DH today in Julian.
And should have had a home run today. I didn't see it, but I'm going to say he should have had a home run.
That went 3/4
That's one of
the way
those.
up the wall. It was
Same thing. They
it
need
was
it.
right around
Give
the 405 sign.
him something. Give him something. Make it a game. 5-1 your score. This one's grounded to the left side again. A diving play almost made by McGran. But it's into left field for a base hit. So now runners at first and second. Jacob Sharp at first. Matt Dard at second. Jacob McClure, their power guy, up for the Hornets. Hornets looking to make something happen here in the bottom of the 6th inning. So what is the relation between Andy Tellez and Julian?
See, we were trying to find that out, and the closest we got is it seems like it is his uncle. We asked a couple of sources.
Okay.
And what we were told is they believe it is his uncle.
Well, his uncle He's on that wall of fame for a reason. I mean, you look at the record books, and Andy Tellez's name is everywhere. Runs batted in for a career, first, 90. Runs batted in for a season, had 50. That's good for sixth. McClure can't hold us up. No balls and 2 strikes. Home runs, as we said, second. Doubles in a season, tied for fifth. For a career, sixth with 26 doubles in his 2-year career. McClure fouls one back. Count stays 0-2. And there's chasing one. And Mark, was that one of those sliders he throws, or is that a split finger?
That was absolutely one of those sliders to the outside, and you could see him try and set that up because he goes back-to-back against McClure up and in tight, and then on that next one takes a little bit off of it, tries to get him to chase away. And as a batter, that's really hard to hold up, especially when you're already trying to protect the inside of the plate. So you see something slightly towards the outside, and your instinct is to say that's going to be on the barrel if I swing at it.
That's strikeout number 7. Give him 25 for the year. 1 ball and no strikes now to Julian Tellez. So let's see if he can get a hold of one here with 2 runners on base. There's a nice looking pitch there. 1 ball and 1 strike. So Dar at second, Sharp at first, both singled. Tellez swings through another 1 ball and 2 strikes. Took a lot off that. And from my vantage point, it looks like those pitches that Tiedemann is throwing, they look good when they leave his hand. But there appears to be movement that just the bottom drops off or it just slides out of the way. You can see why scouts are there to look at that young man. This is outside 2-2.
And Corey, from here behind home plate, it looks like it has a lot of late break action to it, which is what's really fooling these Fullerton College hitters is that as soon as the ball leaves his hand, it looks like the same release point. But then once it gets to about 2 to 3 feet out in front of home plate, it has wicked break on it. And it's really hard to be able to pick up.
And there's 1 strike 3 called. And it's impressive. It's really impressive from where I sit. The velocity he throws on that when he does decide to throw a fastball and the placement that he has. Either when he throws it and you set that same release point, what is Fullerton, the batters, what are they going to have to do?
Well, I think if you're Fullerton, the first thing that you have to do is with a guy who has late breaking action, you move up in the box.
Sawyer Chesley, as Dar goes and takes off for third, he's safe. So with 2 outs, nice aggression by Fullerton College. It's a double steal.
That's something that
Dar at third base. Go ahead.
That's something that Mark and I have been talking about over the last couple of weeks for Fullerton. They are at their best when they are able to send their runners aggressively as possible. And it's really where they get most of their runs scored immediately following stolen bases.
You can't hold back on that. That's a strike. No balls and 2 strikes. And it seems like the only time that they've run is when there has been 2 outs and trying to be more aggressive. But like you said, move up in the box, be aggressive on the base paths when there's no outs and 1 out. Put some pressure on that Golden West Rustler defense. Ryan, it doesn't look like it's fair.
Not
as he
too
strikes out the
much.
side. No runs, one hit. Or excuse me, no runs and two hits. And no errors and two left on base at the end of six. 5-1 Rustlers. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net. I mean, what as a batter, you've played the game of baseball all your life. What goes through your mind when a pitcher like this, and Shmolovich as well, the last two innings struck out the side. What's going through your mind when you just can't hit them?
Well, I think the first thing is that as soon as you walk into the on deck circle, you're immediately thinking, okay, I don't even have my own strike zone. So if I see something that's anywhere near, I'm going to swing at it, which is a problem because as a hitter, if you go up there and you tell yourself that, well, you're immediately taking yourself out of an at bat. So when you see these Fullerton College batters, or anyone for that matter, go up into the box knowing that you have a guy dealing like he is, the number one thing that's going through your mind is, okay, I can't get behind in this count, so I have to offer at anything close. And that's where you get those pop-ups. That's where you get those easy groundouts. And it starts to, we'll say it starts to tumble later on in games. And that's a lot of the reason as to why when you see guys go 0-3, 0-4, step up to the plate and immediately they're offering at the first or second pitch, it's because in their minds they're telling themselves, well, this is going to be the only good pitch I'll have in this at-bat. So let me try and offer at it. And for the most part, the more patient that you can be against someone like that and get yourself ahead in the count, it's going to help you. But for right now, Corey, I think like you mentioned, anyone going up against Tiedemann is immediately thinking, okay, I'm essentially going into the batter's box behind 0-1, 0-2.
Well, he's still got a couple more innings left, so let's see if they can rectify that. As Shmolovich, who's come in that fifth inning, is all he's done is strike out the side in the fifth and the sixth, so he's dealing as well with 6 strikeouts. And Stephen Casas, Jackson LePinner, and Gunnar McGran, come up to the plate, and that's not even close.
That's the thing, Corey, is that
I
you
mean,
look at
Stephen
Tiedemann,
Casas took a what's that?
you look at Tiedemann and you realize, okay, if he's already thrown 92, 93 at this stage in the game, once he gets into the higher levels, whether it be a Division I school or whether it be into possibly getting drafted or beyond, now you're starting to look at adding some velocity, maybe 2 to 3 miles per hour to that fastball as well, and a little bit more break to his breaking ball. So if you think that he's scary now, just give it a couple more years with proper development.
Oh, yeah. There's one's grounded to the right side. Lemastra up with it over to Sawyer. And Chesley records the out. One away. And as you saw the graphic, there no defensive changes for the Hornets in the top half of the seventh inning. 5 runs, 7 hits, no errors for the Rustlers. 1 run, 8 hits, and 3 big errors for the Hornets. Outside to Lapiner. Or excuse me, Lapiner with 1 strikeout, 2 strikeouts, 3 strikeouts in his 3 at-bats.
Corey, you're looking at Shlomovitz with his breaking stuff. It's more of a sweeping action than you're seeing from Tiedemann. Tiedemann is up and down. This is sweeping across to left-handed batters.
Yeah, and the movement when it gets to the plate, I mean, it's one of those, it's not sidearm. But you talk about that sweeping movement, it does look like it's just painting a picture from left to right. And it's really effective out there. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And there's strikeout number 7. And is that the Hornets softball team to the right of you, Mark? Or excuse me, Ryan?
That is correct.
You know, that's another bad thing about COVID. We can't have interviews on the air right now. Because if we can have and change those headsets and clean them out, we'd have a softball player for an interview. Just to talk all things softball for the Hornets. One ball and one strike. But isn't there a coach's show coming up soon? Am I right?
There will be, and it'll be with Coach Crystal and Coach Speedy, or at least one of the
All
two.
right. Okay. This one's golfed into center field for a base hit. No. Out there to short is Barrios, throws it over to first base, so that's the third out of the inning. So 3 up, 3 down. 5-1 is your score as Fullerton comes up with Barrios, Lamastra, and Martinez. So what you're saying, Ryan, is it's going to be a 30-minute interview with Coach Speedy or Coach Crystal because we haven't talked softball in such a long time?
Oh, at minimum, Corey. That's the thing is that
Uh-huh.
you want to talk about interviews. I mean, just look at the interview that we had a few weeks ago with Scott Giles. We told ourselves, yeah, you know what, 30 minutes should be solid. Ended up going about an hour and 15 later, and that's with me cutting it off. So softball, if I can't get to 30 minutes with these softball coaches who have been so nice to us throughout, especially the last few months that we've been out here, making sure that we get their games on the air, then that would be a detriment to myself and my own interviewing skills because Coach Speedy, Coach Crystal have been excellent, especially in allowing us to making sure that we have everything we need to broadcast out there, making sure that we have as much info as possible as well.
All right, and looks like we have a a pitching change, guys.
It is indeed a pitching
Right-handed
change.
pitcher for Golden West.
It is
Go ahead.
Jason Blood.
6'2" freshman from Cypress High School. So they closed the book on Tiedemann. So he goes 6 strong innings. I mean, very strong with 8 strikeouts. And I'm trying to look to see how many people he walked. Ryan, he did not walk one batter. So good control by Tiedemann. And that looks to be the only change on the defensive side of the ball for the Rustlers. Still got Andavolgi in left, Orduno in center, Boyd in right field, and on the infield, Lamar, Jenkins, Casas, and McGran from right to left. Logan Galena still behind the plate, and Jason Blood looking to continue where Ricky Tiedemann left off.
You know what, Corey? When you look at the control that Tiedemann had today, you were talking about it earlier, first pitch strikes. You know, a lot of times you just kind of assume if you're a baseball fan, you go, oh, well, of course you want the first pitch to be a strike. Well, there's a little bit more finesse to that. It's how you throw that first pitch strike. You saw Tiedemann go fastball inside to multiple batters in a row, and then all of a sudden he'd switch and start working a count backwards. He'd start breaking stuff outside to start off to see whether or not he could get guys to chase. So he had a lot of first pitch strikes, but it wasn't necessarily that he was throwing them in the zone. It's that he would back off hitters, and then he would force them to stay on their toes in their next at-bat. So they never really got a chance to get a good read on him.
Right, and continue that real quick as the ball count is 1-1 as Jason Blood his 4.63 earned run average. This one is lifted into center field, giving chase. It's going to be a long single for David Barrios. And so Ryan, go again and expand on why else it's so important to get that one strike on a batter, especially for the confidence of a pitcher.
It changes the mentality of both the pitcher and the batter. So to start off with the batter, you look at the batter and you say, okay, or as the batter, you go up there, you get an 0-1 count immediately on you. Now you're thinking, okay, I've only got 2 strikes to work with. I don't have my full range of a swing that I can go with. I know that he's going to, let's say he starts you off with an inside fastball. Well, now in the back of your mind, you're going, okay, in the next couple pitches, I'm going to have to see that backdoor slider, which has caused me problems earlier. If you're a pitcher, well, getting that first pitch strike, it allows you to go into your full repertoire. It allows you to also have an opportunity to waste pitches later in the at-bat. So it gives you more options and more opportunities to go at a batter, to attack a batter if you get a first pitch strike.
And there goes Barrios. He takes second base easily. And he's got a stolen base. And Ryan, here's what we're talking about. Fullerton College being aggressive. They're only down 4 runs. And if there's anything we've seen in community college baseball, almost no lead is insurmountable. Almost.
I mean, we saw it just last week. A 6-run lead and an 8-run lead both were come back from by Fullerton and also IVC as well. Santa Ana was down at one point by 4, and they came back. Fullerton has had multiple 5+ run innings. So just a 4-run lead isn't, like you mentioned, it's not insurmountable. It's actually within reach, especially in the Orange Empire Conference.
But they're going to have to do it against Blood, who's got 16 strikeouts, 3 walks on the season in his 11 innings that he's appeared in. A nice off-speed pitch. It goes down swinging. So that's the first out to Ryan Lamastra. That's the first time he's been out this game. He's now 2 for 3. And that'll bring up Dominic Martinez, who was 1 for 3 today with 2 strikeouts. So Blood is 0-2 on the season. Trying to be part of the save opportunity for Tiedemann. And delivers a strike. Lifted in left center field. Up high, and it gets through. And Ryan, you're going to have to explain what happened exactly on that play. Is it an error or is it a straight up single?
You know what, Corey? It is a straight up single, but it's more of a mental error than anything. As he goes out into left, he has a beat on that ball initially, but he takes his eye off where that ball is to try and find where the warning track is to his left. As he's ranging back to the 366 marker, he keeps his eyes on the wall for just a shade too long. So by the time that he looks back up at where that ball is, it's beyond his reach because he slowed down to figure out where the fence or the ivy was. So it will go down as a single, but it nonetheless is a mental error in left as it went from a catchable ball into a one-hopper.
And Fullerton looking to do some damage. I mean, we've said this a couple times throughout this game. They've got runners at second and third looking to do some damage. In the 4th inning, they had an opportunity to get runs across the board. They've only scored in that 3rd inning. So with first base open with 1 out, let's see if Elias Rios can be aggressive and takes that for a strike. So no balls and 1 strike to Rios. In the dirt. That's just a good save by Galena. And Ryan, this is what Mark was talking about, the pressure that you put on a pitcher with only 1 out and you're not in their comfortable zone trying to save a ball game. One and two, bouncer back to Blood. It's fair, and it's going to keep the runner at third base and an out at first, so 2 gone. And now Matt Darr, the right fielder, steps up to the plate, 2 for 3 with 2 singles.
Last week, Corey, we were talking about commitment to running, and we saw a runner get thrown out at third because it wasn't an initial decision to just take off. Over at third, Barrios took about 3 steps towards home but wasn't sure, and that's why he goes back to the third base bag. It was kind of a swinging bunt towards the first side. Possibly could have scored the runner, but if you are Fullerton College, you're okay with Barrios going back because of the indecision as to whether or not he wanted to take off. It's either take off or don't. Because we have seen what can happen.
And you've got Matt Darr, who's 2 for 3 today. So he's swinging a hot bat. If he gets a single, that's going to bring in at least one. And Rios on the season, from an IBR standpoint, he's got 7. He's got 1 home run, but really looking for more of a single to get those true runs home. 5-1 is the score. Rustlers up. 2 outs. Bottom of the 7th inning. 3 balls and no strikes. Ryan, you give him the green light, or is he waiting?
I would give him the green light in a 3-0 count because he has consistently proven that he is the most dangerous hitter in this lineup. You know something's going to be coming across home plate.
So freshman from Norco takes one high, so he loads the bases. And that's going to bring up Jacob Sharp, who singled his last time at bat. So 5-1 is the score. Golden West with the lead. Bases are loaded. Tying run comes to the plate if you were to hit a grand slam. But more importantly, a tying run, or excuse me, person comes to the plate who had a single last at bat against Ricky Tiedemann. Let's see if he can keep it going with another single here. And there's the strike. No balls and 1 strike.
And that right there, Corey, is just Blood taking advantage of how late in this ball game it is. You know that Sharp is coming up there thinking, I've got to take at least 1, considering that he went 4 straight balls to the last guy and 2 straight before then.
And timeout here. I think when you're 3-10 and you're approaching the end of the season for the Hornets, I think aggressive right now. Get that mentality like your coach had at Cal State Fullerton, being aggressive on the base path, being aggressive at the plate. Make things happen. He lifts one to the right side. And not being at the field, you look at the Fullerton College batters. Are they aggressive or comfortable at the plate this season?
I'd say as a collective, no. You'll see them, and this is one thing that really shows it, Corey, is that a lot of times you'll see them late in games from the 5th inning on start to get a little bit of what is known as happy feet in the batter's box. And what I mean by that is that you'll see that plant leg, what they should be driving off of, start sweeping towards the pitcher whenever they try and swing. They don't look necessarily as comfortable as we've seen in years past, being in the batter's box and kind of taking a deep breath and saying, I can wait until this guy tosses to me. You're seeing them get a little bit over anxious and then offer at pitches early in counts that you wouldn't normally see from a Hornet team.
No balls, 2 strikes, delivery, and that's high, and that's belted in the left field. And that's going to score 1. That scores 2. That scores 3. And as he rounds the bases, Jacob Sharp, that scores 4. That's a grand slam, folks, and it is 5-5 in the bottom of the 7th inning. The Hornets are back into it, Ryan.
Corey, weren't you just mentioning that if he were to do something, if he were to do something like hit a grand slam and tie this game up because no lead is insurmountable in the Orange Empire Conference?
I think those were the words that we were discussing. That was a conversation, and he went up for that. If you saw that pitch, ladies and gentlemen, it was a borderline strike at the numbers, outside part of the plate. But as Ryan just said, Jacob Sharp, Matt Darr, they've been a little bit comfortable at the plate. And it was a pitch that he liked. He extended his arms, and that's one of those pitches where he didn't get happy feet, Ryan. He stayed down and drove that leg through. That was left field, 3 over the 366 point.
Speaking of Matt Darr, Corey, he is actually gone as Dean Drake came in to run for him just moments before that pitch was launched.
Okay, and who came in to run for him?
Dean Drake.
Dean Drake, okay. So
For,
we'll see if Dean is headed to right field
for
at
Dar,
the top of the eighth.
as he was leading off, he felt a little discomfort and told the coaches that he had to go to the bench.
And that could have been the play where he tried to beat out the play at first base and came down awkwardly. And that was in the sixth inning when he beat out that infield hit. This one's lined into left field again, and that's going to be a single. So Fullerton, this could be the spark that they needed. That grand slam was crucial as Jacob McClure struck out his last two at bats and comes up with a single here, all with 2 outs. They're still going in the 5-5 game.
And one thing about this, Corey, with that grand slam, it takes Tiedemann off the books as well. So he was in line for a 6-inning win, and now he will have a no decision coming out of this one.
And that's got to be tough. That's really tough. Yeah, have you and Mark discussed that option of the no decisions at the community college level because there's an opportunity and that teams can and will come back every so often?
We haven't had a chance to discuss that yet.
I'd like to hear you guys talk about that one day, just about what it would do to a pitcher and to go along with the scouting, because the scouts that came here today to look at Tiedemann, how that reflects. Do they have to look at the numbers or come to the play and actually look at the player? So 4 hits to go along with those 4 runs, an efficient 7th inning. And this is done, Ryan, with 2 outs.
This is something that you had mentioned earlier, going back to those 2013-2014 teams. What did they specialize in? Coming up to the plate with pressure on.
And Julian Tellez lines one down the left field line. It gets past McGrann and runners at first and second.
What happens there, Corey, is that McGrann initially down on the ball. He takes a peek at where the runner is going from first to second. And as he does that, his chest lifts up just a shade. So he doesn't get down on that baseball, put his glove down, and then bring it back up with him. He leaves his left hand down to pick it up, looking to go into a transition toss to first without actually securing the baseball. So it goes directly beneath his glove and into left field.
So what you're saying is E5.
That's what I believe.
Okay. So E5, but nonetheless, Julian Tellez gets on base. So Tellez at first, McClure at second, Sawyer Chesley, the first baseman, who struck out 3 times. 5-5 game. Let's see if he can break the tie here. Whew. Nice off-speed pitch.
You see the movement on that, Corey. That thing looked like it was going to be about head high and then halfway to the plate, dip down to the belt level.
I saw that here from your Belinda Boulevard, right? That was wicked. That was nice. And comes back with the fastball, and Chesley had no chance. I was about to say Chesley is due. Sawyer is only batting .211, but he's really due for a base hit.
You like the location there from Blood. He sees that Chesley couldn't catch up to that first one, so he goes high and in tight to the exact same spot, changing the velocity.
And got him looking. Outside part of the plate, that's going to end the inning. But not before Fullerton gets 4 runs on 4 hits. 1 error, 2 left on base, and at the end of 7, Ryan, we got a ball game. 5-5. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net.
Corey, you see it there. Fullerton getting their first run of the game in the 3rd, and nothing until the 7th. Jacob Sharp with that big grand slam a few moments ago. And that was something that it seemed like Fullerton was really due for. They hadn't had a home run in, a little bit. And considering that they were able to get it from Sharp, who was looking to produce from behind home plate, they've been looking for someone to step up as a catcher and give them some big-time offensive production in a pressure situation. You look at Sharp's entire at-bat. The one thing that he does well in that at-bat is force Blood to show what his cards are, pitching-wise, what was in his repertoire? Why, you ask? Because the first pitch that Blood throws to him, he lays off of, and Blood goes right down the middle. Not exactly belt high, but nonetheless, middle part of the plate. Then what does Sharp do? Instead of offering at the next pitch and having that same mentality that they had against Tiedemann, he stays back, waits for Blood to offer him something in the zone again. The next pitch was up and high. Sharp, very next pitch, is the one that he ends up hammering out to left. And like you mentioned, Corey, he ends up going up for that pitch. That is right at the letters, and he stays up with the barrel. Doesn't get underneath it like we've seen recently.
And that pitch is delivered to Christian Lamar as a ball. So Lamar, Jenkins, and Orduno. Lamar, an RBI double, a single, a single. So he's 3 for 3 today. And that single turned into a 3-base error. And Lamar pops one up into right center field, and this one is caught. And that's caught by Elias Rios. And Dean Drake, as we mentioned, is now in right field taking over for Matt Darr. This brings up Miles Jenkins, who had an RBI single in the second, single and scored a run in the fourth, and struck out in the fifth. And he grounds one to short. Barrios over to first for out number 2.
You like the throw there by Barrios. He doesn't try and rush it, throw from one knee. What he does is he picks up that ball, makes sure he secures it, one tap into the glove and across the diamond as he directions his foot to the first baseline.
And this will bring up Sebastian Orduno, who flew out in the first, singled and stole a base in the second, walked in the fourth, struck out in the sixth. And Ryan, you look at the stat line with 2 outs here in the top of the 8th. First pitch swinging, fouled back. 5 runs, 7 hits, no errors for Golden West. 5 runs, 13 hits for the Hornets. 13 hits and 3 errors. With 13 hits, you should be up, about 3 more runs. But 3 errors, that's crucial because that leads to runs for Golden West that you give them, and you're sitting at a 5-5 game.
And Fullerton came into this game, Corey, with 29 errors, now 32 on the season, leading the entire Orange Empire Conference in that category.
This one's up the middle. Nice piece of hitting by Orduno.
Corey, that ball almost looked like it hit home plate right at the very top and then bounced over top of the pitcher and deadened. So there was no chance for either fielder in Lamastra or Barrios to get to it because it took 2 separate bounces.
And with the speedy Orduno, you're not even close going to get to him. As Galena, who's bounced back to the pitcher in the first, singled, walked, and singled in his plate appearances. 5-5 the score, top of the 8th inning. And nice pitch, jammed him to second. Or excuse me, nice pitch and jammed him into left center field. A piece of hitting by Logan Galena. My goodness, that was a pitch, Ryan. A better piece of hitting that came on his hands up at the number to get to the field.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Corey, is that you look at that pitch. You mentioned high and inside. It didn't look like Galena was actually trying to send that into center field. It's one of those things where he was trying to get out of the way of it, and the bat ends up trailing into the zone, makes contact, and goes into center field.
And it brings up Cole and the Volgi, who is 0 for 3 today. Had 8 RBIs himself against Orange Coast last week, Ryan. First pitch swinging.
He had himself quite a day on Tuesday as well.
Yeah, he was 3 for 5 on Tuesday. I'm sorry, he was 1 for 2 with 2 RBI. He walked, scored 2 runs. So he's had a nice couple days, but now today, 0 for 3, his average is dropped below the Mendoza line as he's 0 for 2 here. So runners at the corners.
One thing
Sorry,
about
Ryan?
the last couple batters that Shlomovitz has tossed to, you see him going away from that breaking ball, and both the pitches that have been hit have been fastballs inside.
There you, Ryan. Strikeout number 7 looking. Actually, number 8 looking. So no runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left on base, and at the end of 7.5, Fullerton's going to break this tie of 5-5 coming up in the bottom of the 8th inning with David Barrios, who started it off last inning, Ryan Lamastra, and Dominic Martinez.
Don't forget, everyone, that tomorrow here on SportsNetUSA.net, we've got Fullerton College softball coming up at 12 p.m. So join us right here on SportsNetUSA.net as Fullerton gets set for a doubleheader against the very same Golden West Rustlers. And once again, if you haven't had a chance to check out this Fullerton College softball team, tomorrow is an excellent way to do so. Because Fullerton College, plain and simple, Mark and I were talking about it last week and also on Tuesday, this is a very dominant Fullerton College softball team, and we really wish that it was a normal season in the CCCAA just to see what or how they would compare to the other teams around the Orange Empire Conference and in Southern California. This is a team that is very reminiscent to the Mount Sac team that ended up going all the way to the state finals a couple years ago. It's almost as if Fullerton has 4 different options that they can go to in the circle. Number 1, you have Lopez. She has been one of the best pitchers in all of the OEC. Then you have a really good pitcher in PV House. You have a couple of extras that you can go to in terms of arms late in innings. You have D. Ramirez, who is excellent in the field and has given them an opportunity to stay in games not only with her fielding, but with her bat as well, as she is one of the best hitters in the Orange Empire Conference. Not to mention, you have Casey Dufresne, who has been hitting really well, hitting over 315 if I remember correctly. This is a different Fullerton College team than we have seen in recent memory, so it will be interesting to see how they fare the rest of this season. And it really makes you wish, Corey, that this was a normal CCCAA season to see how well they would have stacked up with teams like Cypress, Mount Sac, and the rest.
You know what, Ryan? I agree with you totally because we've watched a whole lot of other teams this season, and Mount Sac is not the team that they have been the past few years. So that's one of the things that you look at. Cypress is still Cypress, but they're beatable. Up north, you have your College of San Mateos, you have your Sierras, who's not as good as this year. San Jose is really the top team in the north. So you're looking at 2 teams of San Jose and Fullerton, who really could have gotten over the hump this season, as we've got a new pitcher in the ball game, Jackson Lapiner, who started out DH in his 4th appearance in 3 innings pitched. He's got a 3.00 earned run average, and he's now 1-1. And I wanted to ask you, Ryan, is D. Ramirez the player of the year this year?
I think, in my opinion, she is. She has, if I'm not mistaken, the number 1 batting average. She is top 2 in RBIs, top 2 in home runs, and then her fielding is fantastic for Fullerton.
All right. 2 balls, 1 strike.
And I think looking at
David
the stats
Barrios.
last week, if I'm not mistaken as well, she was also hovering around 450 in an on-base percentage.
Yeah, she's dynamite. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And I got your message, Ryan. Go ahead. So 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bottom of the 8th inning, the score is tied by 5. A grand slam delivered for the Hornets by Jacob Sharp. That's going to be his 3rd home run of the season. There's one to bounce right back up the middle, and that'll be a base hit. So Barrios, after he grounded to short and popped to first, had a single and a stolen base in the 7th, a single here to start off the inning, and Ryan LeMastre, who's 2 for 3, struck out his last at bat, will step to the plate and try to break this 5-5 tie. Back to Sharp. Now he's got 3 home runs, 7 big RBI, raising that slugging, on base, and batting average up. So LeMastre, who came into this game looking to lay down a bunt, off-speed pitch, that's the perfect pitch to do it. Pulls the bat back, no balls and 1 strike. LeMastre raising his 0.77 coming into this game. When you're batting 0.77, you have to lay down this bunt to advance the runner. You need a good lead at first. You got a speedy Barrios at the plate, and he takes strike 2. Another good pitch by Lappiner, another off-speed pitch. So over to his coach. With no balls and 2 strikes, you got to lay down the bunt, no matter what. Send the runner to second, put the bat on the ball, make sure you get it down and don't pop it up. Advance, and this is where you, if you're a college player at this level, you should be able to lay down a bunt with no balls and 2 strikes to advance the runner. And the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to take a strike looking. Lappiner sets. LeMastre back up the middle. Over to second. And they say he got him. So the lead runner is out. LeMastre at first base on a force play. So fielder's choice at second. So at first base, Ryan LeMastre. And again, how crucial it is not be able to lay down a bunt to advance the runner to second when you have a hot-hitting Dominic Martinez at the plate, who's 2 for 4, singled his last 2 times at bat. So with the timeout, the pitching coach comes to talk to Lappiner. Drew Ramos, the head coach in his 2nd season, 3rd head coach in program history for the Rustlers. Fred Hoover coached 22 seasons. Bert Villarreal coached 32 seasons. And we'll talk to, on the show, or when Ryan talks to the coaches, Crystal and Speedy, we'll talk to them on the show on sportsnetusa.net every Thursday or so. We talk to community college athletic coaches, administrators, and so on, to see if the coach at this coaching level in community college is the same as it was previous. If you're going to see younger coaches spend 30 years at one spot. And there goes the throw down to second base, and he's safe. LeMastre takes it off of a wild pitch. And so a runner in scoring position with 1 out makes things a little bit more comfortable for Dominic Martinez. A little bit more, less uncomfortable for Jackson Lappiner and the Rustlers. So 5-5 is your score. Bottom 8, Martinez at the plate. Singled his last 2 times at bat. And he grounds 1 to short. Up with it is Casas over to first base, out. That's the 2nd out of the inning. And Elias Rios now could play a hero of the 8th. Rosas grounded to the pitcher's last time at bat. Struck out. Had an RBI single in the 3rd inning, and grounded to second in the 1st. Starting center fielder. One home run, 7 RBIs this season. Nice off-speed overhand. An overhand right, if you will, for the first strike. And with that overhand right, LeMastre takes third. Or excuse me, the last time Ryan Lemaster took third. So with 2 outs and a runner on third base, the game is tied at 5. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Off-speed pitch up in the air to the right side. One thing when we were taught as a younger player, no balls and 2 strikes, especially with a runner in scoring position. Anything close to the plate, get your bat on it. You don't have to get a base hit, you just got to survive. Inside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Foul one off, get a pitch you like, drive it and drive in that run. 5-5 is your score. Lappiner in his 4th appearance this season, he started this game as the DH. Ricky Tiedemann started the ball game for the Rustlers and pitched 6 strong innings, struck out 8. That is low, 2 balls, 2 strikes. So Tiedemann with 6 strong, 8 strikeouts, no walks, and he only gave up that 1 run. So he was headed for a victory to get his first of the season. Jason Blood comes in for him with 2 outs and the bases loaded. Jacob Sharp delivers a game-tying home run over the center field wall, and there's a strikeout for Lappiner, and that's going to end the inning. So at the bottom of the 8th inning is done with no runs and 1 hit, no errors and 1 left on. We're knotted at 5, headed to the 9th inning. This is Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net.
Corey, you see some of the action from around Southern California. We'll get to that in just a moment, but you look at Fullerton College and getting the opportunity to play in the Orange Empire Conference has them, well, it gives them a chance to actually measure up with everyone else in the state. Oftentimes, and for the most part, we have heard continually from coaches that the Orange Empire Conference is the most competitive conference in the entire state. Why? Because constantly the OEC is sending state champions, or they're getting people or teams in the finals. When you look at the Orange Empire Conference, they are all able to get into action and play. Well, for the most part, except for Riverside, as you mentioned earlier. And you see some of the scores here. Cypress 13-8 over Santa Ana in the bottom of the 7th. Mount Sac and Orange Coast, 5-0 Mount Sac. They end up with a win. And then Saddleback and Irvine Valley. That is quite a bit of runs there, Corey. 23 combined at 13-10. Irvine Valley with the lead in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, that's impressive. And go ahead, Ryan, continue a little bit more. I'm doing some counting right now, and I'll tell you why the OEC might be the best conference in the state and the nation.
But yeah, when you look at the Orange Empire Conference, you really love the fact that all these teams are able to get into play, especially when you look at the Los Angeles County teams, as that last one went outside the zone. But you look at the Los Angeles County teams, a lot of quality teams over there not able to play right now because of the current restrictions. But almost all of the entire Orange Empire Conference, as we've seen from Orange Coast, Golden West, you know, Fullerton continually being in the playoffs, Cypress having a couple of state championships as well. It is always ever so competitive, and the fact that these teams are able to get into play, it allows for you to really measure up to some of the best competition in the entire state. So it's not just the Orange Empire Conference facing each other, it's some of the best talent in the state of California being able to measure up against one another.
Yeah, agreed. And 20 state titles for the Orange Empire Conference teams for the state of California. So 20, and I believe that's since 1950. And that's a competitive region. That's a competitive conference. With 2 balls and 1 strike, 2 balls and 2 strikes, strikes out Julian Boyd.
Look at nearly 40% of all the titles in California state history from the years that you mentioned until now, all from one conference, all from about 8 teams. considering that there's over 100 teams in this entire conference that end up playing, it's quite impressive to see how much success the Orange Empire Conference has had.
Yes. There's one right center field. It's going to be trouble. And that's going to be a base hit for Stephen Costas. He's stretching it to second base. Yes, he does. He's going to third. And he slides in head first at third base for a triple. With one out, Stephen Costas, the shortstop, trying to end this game in the next inning because they'll get their chance since we're here in the top of the ninth. That's Jackson Lappiner, who came in to pitch last inning,
You know what,
coming up
Corey?
and try to help his cause.
Here's where I get a little bit lenient because Mr. Mark Pavlovich isn't in the press box. I will give him a triple there. Yes, it did go off the glove of Rios, but Rios was on a dead run out to right center field, and that goes off the very end of his glove. So, considering that Mark isn't here, we'll give him a triple.
Yeah, that sounds good. We won't tell him. With one out, though, 5-5 is your score. Top of the ninth, Lappiner, the DH, now pitched the eighth, now coming up and trying to win this game, or potentially win the game to break the tie at 5. Takes one high and inside, 1-0. And Lappiter attempting to do his Dylan Persinger impression. Takes that one high. 2 balls, no strikes. Persinger out of Golden West in 2016. Had one of the more memorable seasons, Ryan, if you remember, for the Rustlers. Headed over to Cal State Fullerton. But he was one of those players, never seemed to make an out that season. And here's Lappiner. High into right field. Drake under it. There's the tag. Haas is coming. He's going to be safe, and that's going to be a sacrifice fly to break the tie. And now it's 6-5.
That throw, Corey, it had a lot of power behind it. The timing was good. It's just the fact that it was on the first base side of home plate.
And that's going to be tough because Dean Drake did, like you said, had a good throw, had a good arm. Costas a little bit too quick, but on the opposite side, he gets it out and it ends the inning.
What you do
But
love to see
nonetheless,
from Drake right there, Corey, is the fact that he gets behind that ball. He doesn't just settle for being underneath it and then throwing. He gets his momentum behind the ball and is moving forward as he catches it so that way he can translate into a throw.
So 6-5 is your score. As a team that bats .256 is Golden West on the season. Doing a nice job here today, producing runs. And again, how big is that triple by Casas after the strikeout to Boyd? He was on his horse. If it's only a double, he doesn't make it. There's one laid down, third base side. It's going to stay fair. That's nice. That's just pretty.
And Corey, you've done a lot of games with Mark over the years. You've heard him talk about deadening the bat to make sure that when the ball hits it, you're essentially catching that baseball and sending it somewhere. That's exactly what he does there. You'll see him go up to the plate, and as that ball is coming in, he brings the bat backwards, so that way it has a little bit extra give as well to go down the third base line and land in between Sharp and McClure.
And so with a runner on first base and 2 outs, Rustlers not done here in the ninth. Shmolovitz delivers low and inside, 1-0. Fouled straight back, and that camera, man, that's a tough camera there. And Ryan, with the COVID situation with no fans, what's the difference between softball when the players are into it, they're cheering, they're singing, to the difference between baseball when there's no cheering, no singing, and no fans. And this is lifted into center field. Up under it is going to be Rios, and that's going to be the third out, but not before the Rustlers take the lead on a sacrifice fly off of a triple by Steven Casas, and Lappiner with the sac fly gives them the lead at 6-5. We head to the bottom of the ninth inning on SportsNetUSA.net. So Ryan, go back to that. What the difference in the COVID situation between baseball and softball in the crowd?
You know what? It's interesting, Corey, that you were mentioning that. Joseph, myself, and Mark were all talking about this the other day. We have not heard as much chirping and talking from dugouts in baseball like this for a long time. So without the fans being here, you're hearing the dugouts in baseball all of a sudden become a lot more active, become a lot more lively, especially in that IVC series. Fullerton saw IVC get so lively at one point that the umpire had to give them a warning, something that we had not seen at the community college level before, where an umpire said, hey, you guys are being a little bit too rowdy, a little bit too loud here. So while normally you would see in the game of baseball, especially at the college level, it being a lot more quiet from the dugouts, hey, it's your job to go up there and do something right, and we'll cheer for you if you do something right, but for the most part, you don't hear anything. No, that's all changed this season. IVC, Golden West, and earlier when we saw Orange Coast College, all of these dugouts getting very active, getting very lively. There's a lot of chatter coming from both dugouts in these games with no fans in attendance. It's like they're trying to make up for it.
Okay, that's what we need, and they need to keep that up when the fans do come back. And I just go back, how are you making too much? How are you too rowdy?
Well, the
First pitch swinging by Dean Drake. What's that?
The number one way, as I am regretting not bringing a glove to catch this camera with, but the number one way that they ended up getting warned is that there was that big 6-run inning where IVC ended up coming back to tie from 8-2 down and then coming back to tie at 8-8. As soon as they tied it, Fullerton ended up having a pitcher getting swapped out, and I believe it was Schubert at the time. And IVC started making their own chants and taunts towards Schubert as he walked off the mound. And so that's where the umpire said, hey, you know what, you guys are being a little bit too rowdy for my liking.
Dean Drake goes down low into center field. And that is going to be the first out of the ninth inning. Nice play by Sebastian Orduno. And is Joseph okay? His cameras are taking a beating. He doesn't wince each time they take a hit, does he?
As I heard from Joseph over to my right, the way that these cameras are staying on is that Mr. Edford did some high desert black magic on them, having to do with pigeons. So he is just sitting by, waiting. These cameras stay in their upright positions.
All right, his second pitch is there, 0 for 2. And we want to thank Ed Ford, and we want to thank you, Joe and Ryan, for getting us up on the air, helping old people out to be on the computer to call these games. No balls, 2 strikes to Jacob Sharp, who's a grand slam in the 7th inning, and he pops this one up. And that'll be 2 away. And we also bring up Jacob McClure, the Hornets' last at-bat, possibly with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. They're down by 1 run, 6-5, as Jacob McClure wants to keep it going. That's a nice off-speed pitch for a strike on the inside corner. And speaking of keeping it going, the Coaches Show on 90.1 KBPK will be kept going by Ryan Osborne and Joe Pavlenko. Stay tuned for hear the coaches talk from Fullerton College about their teams, about their careers, and about the game they love and the school they love. And this show on SportsNetUSA.net every Thursday or so with me, Mark, Ed Ford, and a whole bunch of other people just sitting around talking. And as always, community college athletics and academics is the focus, as community college athletics is as an important part, if often ignored, but extremely important in the realm of athletics. 6-5, the Rustlers with the lead. And don't forget to nominate, go to Fullerton College, fullcall.edu to the athletics section. Ball is outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Go to the Hall of Fame nomination forms and nominate Mark Pavlovich for the Fullerton College Hall of Fame. 20 years as the voice of Fullerton College athletics, and really the loudest mouth at Fullerton College for the last 20 years. Get him into the Hall of Fame. It's going to be well deserved once he gets in there. And that is outside, so staying alive, Jacob McClure draws the walk. So Julian Tellez. Tellez is a big guy. You don't realize just how big he is until you see him walk up there. 6'3", 240 pounds from St. Paul High School. So Ryan hit a walk-off home run would be good for the Hornets. It would propel the Hornets for the rest of the season with confidence. But we'll see if they get that lucky here. Golden West looking to take the second game of this 4-game set. They're trying to get on track as well, as they came into this game 2-11. Fullerton at 3-10. Caught the numbers, 1-1 the count. What's that?
That's a great pitch there by Lappner because he leaves that in the zone, but he goes with the big break. So Tellez is frozen on it. Now Tellez is going to be kind of defensive next time he sees that pitch.
And he came with the heat up high this time, so he wasn't ready. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Don't forget, you guys be ready out there, the audience, tomorrow. Fullerton College softball hosting Golden West. It's a doubleheader on SportsNetUSA.net at noon and 2:30. Those guys from 90.1 KBPK as well will be bringing us the ball game, and that's inside. Almost hit them 2-2. So if Golden West does pull out the victory, Lappiner will get it. And there's a wild pitch outside, and that's going to advance the runner to second. So Fullerton not done yet. It's Jacob McClure at second base. And Ryan, is Jacob McClure a quick runner, fast runner, or no?
McClure is about average speed.
Average speed with 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. A single may score the runner at second. You're at the bottom of the 9th inning. Lappiner is the pitcher of record. He will get the win if the Rustlers pull it out. Payoff pitch outside. There's a runner to third base. And things get interesting for the Hornets with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning, down by 1 run. As Sawyer Chesley steps up to the plate, and he is struck out all 4 times as he's batting. We have a pinch hitter, however. Looks like we've got a pinch hitter for Chesley, Brandon Landon, 6'4", 200 pounds out of Redlands High School. So Landon, 231 on the season. 353 on-base percentage, 308 slugging percentage. What's the book on him, Mr. I'm sorry, Mr. Osborne? What's the book on him?
The book on him is you'll see 2 very different at-bats, all depending on whether or not he sees a first pitch strike. We've seen him early this season where if it's a first pitch strike on the inner half, especially a fastball, all of a sudden you'll see a very defensive type at bat from him. If he's able to sit back and watch a couple of pitches, his patience leads to a lot of success for him. If he gets over aggressive, it's going to be popped up. If he's able to be patient, you'll see a nice through swing, possibly a single into right. He likes to pull the ball.
So the freshman's going to step in. Lefty. Athletic with the wide stance. Lappiner, the right-handed pitcher, delivers outside.
The question was posed over to my right by Joe. Down by one with a runner on third in the ninth. Do you have the luxury to be patient? And Corey, as you know, here in the game of baseball, you always have the luxury and ability to be patient at the plate. It's a matter of what you do with the pitch that's in there.
Yeah, and he's thrown, there's 2 balls outside and hasn't been close on the last 4, so you have to be patient here. 2 balls and no strikes. The only way you're swinging out a pitch is if you get this first pitch called for a strike, you swing at the next one. So nervous time at Hornet Field. Outside again, 3 balls and no strikes. And Ryan, there's no way you're swinging at this pitch, correct?
Absolutely not. There's no way he swings 3-0.
So runners at the corners. 6-5 is the score. Lappiner needs a strike to calm himself down, and he gets it on the outside corner.
What's interesting about that one, Corey, is the fact that he goes breaking ball. Normally you'll see a 3-0 fastball to get yourself back into account.
And I think that's what Landon is going to be looking for. If it's not a fastball, you're not swinging. And I think here's a time where you send the runner. Who's the runner at first base? Is that Tellez? So Tellez at first. You're not going to send the runner. At this point in the game, and the luxury you have with the long bench for the Hornets, you might want to see a pinch runner at first base. Get somebody out there speedy and fast and have him go on this 3-1 count. Three balls, 1 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the 9th inning. Brian Landon, the pinch hitter. Runner on third base is Jacob McClure. There's a strike called on the outside part, and the pinch runner does go, and that runner on second base, also now in scoring position, is Brad Pelkofer.
So, Corey,
So 3 balls, 2 strikes.
They try and go outside continuously. If I'm Brian, I end up laying my bat out there.
And there's a ball. Oh my goodness gracious. So McClure comes from third, and he is the tying run at 6-6 with 2 outs, full count. And did he come off the rubber and not set? Payoff pitch in the dirt, and it's away. And that's ball 4. So a balk ties the game at 6, and the runner at third base is Pelkofer. Lappiner is having control issues, and we'll see if he stays in this ball game or if he's going to be pulled. So David Barrios, last 2 times at bat, who's singled, takes the first pitch outside. And Ryan, the press box has got to be buzzing right now with the chance to win this ball game with a single.
It absolutely is, especially the players over to my left. They're getting active, and they will be the first ones to call out that ball.
Off-speed pitch catches the outside part. So you heard that crowd noise in the booth, and we'll see. 6-6 is your score. Bottom of the 9th inning. 3 hours and 15 minutes of game time thus far. In the dirt. Not far enough for Pelkafor. And for Pelkafor, what's the lead look like at third base?
Over at third, equal to the line, maybe a step behind is McGran. So he's 2 or 3 steps towards the line and equal with the bag.
There we go. That's a good look there. High and outside, 3-1.
And this is the thing, talking about that patience late in the game. Joe, when you look at a batter coming up to the plate, especially in the 9th with 2 outs on, you're not going to swing until that pitcher gives you something in the zone or he forces your hand. Especially with the way that Lappiner has been tossing. If you're Barrios, unless it's your pitch on the inside half, you wait on it.
And there's the outside corner, gets it. And runner takes second. So that's landed on second base. Pelkafor on third. 3 balls and 2 strikes and 2 outs. David Barrios 2 for 4 today. Last 2 at bats, singled and scored a run and singled. Let's see if he can go 3 for 5 and an RBI. Inside corner, strike 3 called. And at the end of 9, we go into extra innings. Tied at 6. 1 run, and they did all of that, guys, on no hits, no errors, and 2 left on. Moving to the top of the 10th inning with the score tied at 6. This is Hornet Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net.
You really have to attribute that last inning to the patience at the plate, as we're going to get a new pitcher here for Fullerton. But you have to attribute it to the patience at the plate that the Hornets ended up showing. They really came up for their at-bats and said, we're not going to offer at anything until Lappiner throws us strikes. And especially with the first 2 guys ending up getting out very quickly. You saw it all start with McClure, a quality at-bat where he saw 7 different pitches and then gets a walk. After that, the Hornets were able to work from there.
And a big freshman, Memo Pacheco, checks into the ball game. Freshman right-hander, 7 innings pitched this season, 3.86 earned run average. 6 Ks, 1 walk, 3 earned runs given up. And with the extra inning game, you start the runner at second base. Now, Ryan, I'm going to ask you, if you're a baseball purist or you like the rules starting at second base?
I personally like it only at the college level. I think in the professional level, you have to go with a full empty base paths and have to work your way on. At the college level, the reason why I like it is because a lot of times you'll see these high-scoring games get later and later into the afternoon. And we've seen a few, especially here in Southern California over the last few years, that have gone so long that they find themselves in lighting troubles. So just due to that reason I like it at the college level, overall in the game of baseball, no. I think that you should have to earn your way aboard and earn a run and not be gifted something.
I like gifts. I like cake. I like gifts. I like donuts. Put me at second base and I'm good. In this game quickly. I like extra innings, but I don't like extra innings. I think it puts more pressure, and I think it makes you focus more when you have a runner start on second base, which is Sergio Alfaro from Tustin High School. Excuse me, guys. And I know you and Joe put up that score. Allen Hancock beat Ventura on the scoreboard today in CCCAA, 8-0. And you were talking about that Shasta Feather River game, 14-13 in 12 innings. Shasta beat Feather River. 4 errors each for both teams. Game 1, Oxnard 14-6 over Antelope Valley in top of the 8th. And that was in the first game. 6-5 in the bottom of the 5th here in the second game for Antelope Valley and Oxnard. Bakersfield, top of the second, 2-0 over Moore Park. Elsewhere, 21-6. Diablo Valley scored 3 touchdowns over Sierra, held them to 2 field goals so far in the bottom of the 7th inning. Alfaro, short lead at second. Okay, Ryan, in the game of baseball, what's going through the pitcher's head right now?
Well, the number one thing that should be going through his head is just pitching to the batter, not having to worry too much about that runner. Everyone else, the catcher and the infield, those are the guys who need to worry about the runner. If I'm Pacheco, just deliver to home.
Delivers home for a strike. So Miles Jenkins trying to move the runner over to second, or excuse me, move the runner over to third base.
See, here's the thing, Corey, with starting that runner over at second, the pitcher, and especially coming into a brand new ball game like Pacheco is, mentally you can prepare yourself if a runner works his way aboard and goes to second. Here, you have to be on heights at all times.
And Jacob McClure double clutches, throws over to first base for the out.
And something big
So
over
5-3, but he did his job. What's that?
Something big over at first, Corey, is the fact that Lemastro, when he goes over to cover at the first base bag, that ball is low and in the dirt. What does he do? Instead of just trying to pick it up with his glove off of bounds, he brings both hands down and his body over top of that ball, making sure it doesn't get past him, doesn't allow the runner to come across.
An important play because that runner, to be safe at first, but more importantly, that scores, like you said, that run advancing from third. First pitch is there for a strike.
Also taking over at first is now Marco Malerba for Sawyer Chesley.
Oh, one pitch into right field. That's going to be a base hit, so it's 7-6. Rustlers with the lead. Orduno, that's his third hit of the game.
Here's what's interesting about that, Corey. Malerba is positioned about 8 to 9 feet to the right of the first base bag. At the very last moment, he looks into the dugout and gets the motion to move closer to first base. He takes 2 steps to his left towards the first base bag, and where does that ball go? Right to where he was originally positioned.
Tough break for the Hornets with only 1 out. 7-6 the score in the top of the 10th inning. Game number 2 in this 4-game set. 21-5 the first game. Golden West won on Tuesday. 21 runs on 18 hits. Speaking of a lot of runs, bottom of the 9th, Cypress 17-8 over Santa Ana. Mount Sac lost to Orange Coast 4-1. Change up low and outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Other scores in the top of the 9th, Irvine Valley 16-11 now over Saddleback. (10-1) Laney over Napa Valley at the top of the 8th. And Ryan, we got a chance to talk, and went into the dugout. So advancing to second base will be Orduno with 1 out. We got a chance to talk to the head soccer coach for the women's team of Napa Valley, Mark Corbett, on the show on sportsnetusa.net. So the third pitcher used for the Hornets, following Schubert, Smolovitz, and now Pacheco, delivers low in the dirt. Product out of La Mirada High School. In the dirt, 3-1. And Ryan, Joe, I think this is a type of game that Fullerton needed to come back. And you know, there's no moral victories or in games. You know, we hear from coaches all the time, if you lose, you lose. It's not a good thing. But you got to take some positive away from this type of game. If you're down 5-1, you got blown out on Tuesday, 21-5. But you come back in the seventh inning and you hit a grand slam. You get some momentum, and that hit him. So he'll take first base. And Galina's on board again for the fifth time today. And Andovolgi will check in and come up to the plate. So you take some positive from this type of game, even if you lose. There's a pitch in the dirt, but check swing and Volgi goes around. No balls, one strike, one out here in the top of the 10th inning, and 2 on. And Volgi 0 for 4 today. Does have that sac fly RBI to make it 6-5. That made it 6-5, excuse me, and struck out twice. Fouled straight back.
Again, Corey, you know, I'm just saying, one thing that I am very grateful for this Thanksgiving is netting.
The nets are important, and they're very important. And I like that they put the nets in major league stadiums as well. That's also fouled back. Sandovaldi staying alive. And there goes the run of the third base, and just lack of focus by Memo Pacheco. And Orduno takes third base and in better scoring position with 1 out here at runners at the corner. 0-2 count to Andovolgi. And you chalk that up to nerves. Nerves by Memo Pacheco. Not a lot of time on the mound this year. And as a freshman, in a nerve-wracking situation, had a lapse. Off-speed pitch drilled in the left field, and that's going to bring home 1. Now 8-6, and rounding third base and in to score is going to be Galina from first on a stand-up triple. And the Volgi breaks this open.
And Corey, what that should be scored as is a single and a 2-base error. Because
So it'll be a single and a...
That ball was singled into left. Dominic Martinez ends up charging in on it, but he tried to side saddle the ball so that way he could come up throwing for home. In doing so, that ball bounces directly underneath his glove and all the way to the ivy.
Wow, so that's going to be devastating for the Hornets as 2 more runs come across for the Rustlers. And it is Golden West 9, the Hornets 6. That's the 4th error, I believe, Ryan, for the Hornets today.
That is correct, according to the scoreboard.
So another 4 errors. They came into the game with, 29 errors, 33 today. They're 33 now with 4. And here's Julian Boyd, who has a home run and struck out 3 times. Takes that for a strike. 1-1. So just when the Hornets guys got a chance to tie the ball game up, got the momentum back, had a chance to win it in the ninth, didn't happen with the runner around third base, and they moved to the 10th. And 3 runs come across for the Rustlers in Fullerton. Their body language says dejection. This one's ripped to right field foul. Off-speed pitch, a little dribbler to the right side and touched foul. It was going to be tough to get him if it stayed fair with the speed of Boyd, so he comes back with 2 strikes on. And so the final 2 games are tomorrow between these 2 squads. They play a doubleheader in this COVID situation. And how do you like the doubleheader situations, Ryan?
You know, I'm actually all for it. I think it gets a lot more baseball in, considering that, you know, most of these teams, they would just play each other a couple of times and that would be it throughout the entirety of the season. But now it gives them an opportunity to see each other 4 times per year, or at least this year.
Yeah, and there's a nice pitch, like a screwball on the inside. Went down swinging. And as good as Boyd, guys, looked on his home run, as bad as he's looked on his last 4 at-bats as he struck out. All swinging, but still 2 outs now. Top of the 10th inning and a 3-run lead for the Rustlers. Steven Casas. He chops one to the right side and up with it over to first. Will end the top of the 10th inning, but not before 3 runs get across on 2 hits. Make it 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 left on. Hornets down 3, 9-6, as we move to the bottom of the 10th inning.
So if you're looking at that box score and you're saying, I'm confused, how is it just Golden West 3 in the first inning and now they've got 9 and Fullerton hasn't come up yet and they've got 6 runs and 14 hits? Well, let's explain it to you. Fullerton and Golden West, the scoring started early in the second inning. Golden West got on the board with a couple. Then in the third, they added 1 more to make it 3-0. Fullerton answered with 1 back in the third. 2 more for Golden West in the top half of the fourth to make it 5-1. It would stay that way until the bottom half of the 7th inning, when Fullerton got a grand slam from Jacob Sharp to tie it up at 5. To the top of the 9th we went. Golden West got on the board once more to make it 6-5. And Fullerton, thanks to a balk, got themselves back in it with a tie to go to the top half of the 10th. So that's why our box score resets, because we are now in the bottom half of the 10th after Golden West got 3 in the top half. So that first inning, in your mind, add a 0 to it. We are in the 10th inning. And Fullerton and Golden West are currently at a 9-6 score. And Corey, while I may be thankful for netting, I'm fairly certain our home plate camera isn't. It truly prefers the chain link fence over at softball.
I saw it said I'm done. Let me just drop out of here because I can't take it right now. Let's play some softball tomorrow. As Nick Merkin is the new pitcher for the Rustlers, the left-hander, 6 feet 180 out of Great Oaks High School. He's a sophomore, his 6th appearance this season. Started once, 0-1. 7 innings pitched, and a 17.61 earned run average. So, 17.6, 10 strikeouts, 4 walks on the season.
Corey, I'm not going to lie.
Giving up 2 home runs and the runner at second base to start, as we have is it still called the California tiebreaker rule in baseball like it is in softball?
I believe it's the international tiebreaker rule.
International tiebreaker rule. Okay. I gotta broaden my horizons. It's what happens when you're scared to fly. You spend all your time in California. You don't travel. So Barrios has had a solid game. Stands at second base. And the Volgi, Orduno, and Boyd in the outfield from left to right for the Rustlers. Oh, one pitch from Merkin is high to the backstop. Barrios advances to third base. McGran, Casas, Jenkins, and Lamar in the infield left to right. Merkin's battery mate, Logan Galena. 2-11, the Rustlers come into the game. They won the first game on Tuesday. 3-10 is the Hornets. Inside, another pitch out of the way, and that's going to score Barrios from third, and it's 9-7. 2 balls and 1 strike. So you got that runner at second base. Not both teams quick with the score. So now we get what Ryan likes at the professional lengths. Now you got to earn your runs. And again, it's in the third. That's 3 straight balls in the third. So 3 balls and 1 strike. And that's ball number 4. You know what the one good thing, Ryan, is about these big rosters?
What is that?
Well, you've got 25 pitchers on each roster. So if you're a coach, it's a good thing. You can bring in the pitchers. If you're a fan and you want things to move along smoothly, put 5 pitchers on the roster and just let them go. Only on extra innings.
See, I thought you were going to say that the reason why it's oh so great is that you get the non-traditional baseball numbers in the rotation.
No. Non-traditional baseball numbers. Not the same connotation. No balls, 2 strikes. And what would be those traditional baseball numbers, Ryan?
You got your 1 through 9s because early in the game of baseball, people were numbered according to where they batted in the order. That's where you get your Babe Ruths, your Lou Gehrig's, the 3-4 spot. So they were numbered according to that.
Strike 3 on the outside corner, on the way outside corner. Dominique Martinez doesn't like it, but nonetheless, he sits down for the first out.
Then as pitchers started to get numbered around the same time as hitters as well, what you would start to see is a lot of pitchers end up getting double-digit numbers because they didn't want to give away the single-digit numbers to pitchers. So it started a tradition of pitchers getting numbers in between 18 through 38.
High, 1-0. And I must
if
say,
you look at it, the tradition still lives today as there's only a handful of pitchers, whether it be at the pro ranks or college level, who have the single digits.
yeah, that tradition is pretty much stand pat. There is that anomaly, but ooh, you heard that with the glove popped 1-1. I like it when the pitchers have that single digits, those single digits numbers. It adds uniqueness to it. So Ryan, would 32 be the best number for a pitcher in professional baseball? Or would you say 34? This one's drilled in the right field.
I like 32, and that's partially because I'm, slightly biased to a team here in Southern California and how good that guy was.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm a fan of 32. I also really like the number 20 as well.
And why number 20?
I was a big fan of Don Sutton. Especially
Oh, no. No. He's a Dodger. Can't be a Dodger. And that's strike 3 looking for the second out. Nice pitch by Merkin on the outside corner. We'll stick with 32. That's good. That 32 guy for the Dodgers, he transcends the hatred for the Dodgers. But again, every time you listen to a Sportsnet USA broadcast, .net broadcast, Ryan and Mark will always give you some history lesson. You learn something. That's why you like it as Dean Drake comes up to bat. In the dirt. Or excuse me, that's Jacob Sharp at the bat. As Ryan Lamastra stands at second with 2 outs. And actually, we have a pinch hitter, and that's Andrew Sanchez into right field, and that's going to be the out. And Andrew Sanchez flies out to right field, and that's going to end the game in extra innings, folks. 9-7, the Rustlers with the win. They improved to 3-11. Hornets dropped to 3-11. So we want to thank everybody part of the broadcast, those at Fullerton College, Scott Giles, Phil Thurman, Golden West. Thank you very much for our coaches for treating our players treating our broadcasters well. Fullerton College coaching and the staff as well. Ed Ford up in the high desert. Mark Pavlovich over in Anaheim somewhere. Joe, Ryan, thank you guys for getting me up on the air. This is Corey Nalen. Once again, Hornets go down to defeat to the Rustlers 9-7 in 10 innings. You've been watching Fullerton College Baseball on SportsNetUSA.net.